thank you for joining us, bro.
Absolutely, brother.
Big time guest
It's
today.
my pleasure, man.
Jason,
Thank you.
Stellar Cuts, legend in the barber game. Legend
Appreciate
in
that,
Miami,
man.
too, I would say.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I'm humbled, and thank you for having me on this platform. I appreciate that.
Always appreciate your time, for sure.
Absolutely.
So I know you were born and raised in Jersey, right?
Correct.
And what made you come down to Miami? Like, how long you been living here?
Well, my mom and my father separated in 1989, so I moved down here in 1989. And, when we came out here, I was here from 89 to 95, and I began cutting hair in 1992. I started cutting hair. So from 92 to 95, I already had started cutting tons of people in my middle school. I had a lot of clientele. I was getting pretty good at what I was doing, and then I went up to New Jersey. And when I went back to New Jersey with my father, I started cutting hair out there. One of my cousins, Robert, he was incarcerated for 13 years, and he had came out of prison. He opened a barbershop, and I went and I started working with him, and from there, man, it showed me things I never knew. I started making a lot of money, So,
that's amazing.
It was.
How old were you when you first started cutting hair?
Well, I started at 12 years old.
You started at 12 years old?
Yeah,
12.
Wow. Yeah, I started at 12.
Damn, that's young. I don't think I've ever met anybody that started that young.
Yeah, I started at 12.
What made you want to cut hair at 12? Did you always have a fresh cut? I'm sure you always had a fresh cut.
I mean, I did my best to get myself a fresh cut when I was first learning how to cut hair.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it was it's a funny story. It was inspired by a movie called Major Leagues.
Of course,
okay?
yeah.
A baseball movie.
Yeah.
And
it's classic.
Charlie Sheen had this crazy haircut, and he was the pitcher, Wild Thing. So I wanted that haircut, and my father took me to a place. I kind of got the haircut. It looked kind of like it, but then I wanted to keep up with my haircut, and he went ahead and brought me a Clippers from a place called Eckerd's here in Miami.
Eckerd's, yeah.
Okay?
That's another classic.
Any true Miami heads will know what Eckerd's is, but I got a machine at Eckerd's. I got a wall machine. It was the wall machine that had the white casing on the front and the black in the back. And, from a very young age, I learned how to use this machine, and it got me to some amazing places in my life.
That's awesome. So it was self-taught?
It was self-taught. Yeah, I started, how you start anything in life, right? You gotta fall a couple times before you can stand up. So, I was cutting hair, and I messed up my haircut a couple times, and then I started getting good at it, and little by little, people started asking me who was cutting my hair.
Hey, that must have been a great feeling.
Yeah, people were like, "Who cut your hair? Who cut your hair?" And I would just tell them I cut my own hair. And then that's when they started, "Jay, cut my hair." And I said, "Listen, I don't know how to cut your hair. I know how to cut my hair." Mind you, again, I'm only 12. It's all my little friends in the neighborhood asking me this. And I said, "I don't know how to cut your hair. I know how to cut my hair." So they gracefully gave me the privilege to go ahead and cut their hair and just try it out. So they were like, "Look, however it comes out, I'm okay with it." So I started, I messed up a few heads at first, and as I started to gradually get better, by the time I was 14 years old, I got really good at it. And then when I was 15, by that time, I was cutting everybody in my middle school. I went to middle school here in Miami.
Which middle school? McMillan?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I went to McMillan. Anybody who went to McMillan will know who I am. And I was a very well-known person.
Shout out McMillan.
Yeah. So I was a very well-known person, and I cut everybody's hair. Walter, the janitor.
That's big time, because like Miami, we're different, especially when it comes to hair. Like, we got to be fresh. Like, absolutely. I went to school. I played baseball in Lakeland for 2 years, and nobody cares about being fresh there. Of
course,
their haircuts are just different. But for you to be a good barber in Miami is not easy.
No, it's not at all. And again, from there, when I started cutting hair at McMillan, and I was cutting everybody's hair, I started getting really good at it. And then that's when I decided to move to New Jersey, back with my father. And when I moved up there, again, like I was saying a little earlier, my cousin, he had came out of prison. He had worked in a few shops, and then he went ahead and opened his own shop. And when he opened his own shop, he hired me, and I started cutting hair, man. And it was just, anybody who cut hair with me in that barbershop in Elizabeth in Jersey would know. Like, we started making some good money. And it was a blessing because my cousin himself was he was an inspiration to a lot of people. My cousin was a very well-respected man. He was incarcerated for being somebody very well-respected, you know, and he learned how to cut hair in the penitentiary.
Wow,
so when he
nice.
learned how to cut hair in the penitentiary, coincidentally, he was cutting hair and I was cutting hair. We cousins.
Damn.
So
yeah, everything happens for a reason.
so everything happens for a reason. And when he came out of prison and, you know, he ended up opening his barbershop, he hired me. And I started working there, and there's a lot of things that I learned from my cousin. You know, he had the boss mentality. He was running his shop. He had a brand new S500 Mercedes-Benz AMG. Like, you know, he had just gotten out of prison. He was a very, again, well-known person, very respected person. And it was an inspiration to a lot of us young barbers at the time. And my cousin was teaching me a lot about the hair industry, you know, what it is about quality haircuts, timing on haircuts, you know, pricing, everything. And he showed me the ropes, he showed me the tools. I was a young barber with a lot of aspirations, determined to be the best at what I was doing. So I started getting real good and I started making a lot of money. And by 2002, by this time, you know, I had already gotten really good at what I was doing. And then I moved to Miami. I moved back to Miami. And when I moved back to Miami in 2002,
What drew you back in to Miami?
well, my mom always lived out here. My mom, my brother, my sisters, they were out here, and you know, I have family out here as well. So I came back to Miami. When I came back to Miami in 2002, I guess that's when you can say my career really took off. You know.
Nice, man. Before we get into the career taking off, I'm curious, like, shout out to your cousin for just teaching you the ways on how to not only, you know, cut hair and the quality and the timing, but also within the business of it. Because it's one thing to be a good barber at a barbershop, but to own a barbershop is a whole nother beast. So I'm wondering, like, was he also preparing himself for that moment while he was in jail? Like, was he studying how to do business and how to run a barbershop?
Well,
Or was that just like...
that was just something that he was learning in the penitentiary at the time. He was also writing his book on his life and, you know, his story and the things that he had been to. Like I said, he was a very well-respected guy. And he went to prison for things that obviously is in the book. I don't want to expose that on camera or anything like that, but it's in the book. And he's an inspiration to a lot of people because when he came home, he had this mentality to basically get back what he once had, but in a legal way.
Yeah.
You know, and being the reputation that he had, being who he was once upon a time, and seeing the transition and how he turned into a person that was being productive and positive and not doing harm or doing bad things to earn his money. He was doing it in a legit way, and he was giving opportunity to a lot of people at the same time. So with that right there, it opened up the door to many, many, many things. Like a barber like myself, that I was able to go into his shop, and that's why I really flourished in my career out of that shop. You know?
Yeah,
So,
that's amazing. Again, shout out to your cousin for doing that, because that's not easy to do, especially like when you open up a shop. That's a lot of pressure on yourself, but bringing in your cousin, like that family business right there, that's amazing to me. Like that's what it's all about in my eyes. So
Of course.
when it comes to you coming back down to Miami, did he come back with you or he stayed up there?
No, he stayed in Jersey. He had
Okay.
at the time he had 2 barbershops. He was doing well with both barbershops, and I had came out here for, you know, I was at the time in a relationship, came out here young, 22 years old, and when I came out here, a lot of people didn't know why I was leaving, you know, because Jersey was handed to me, you know, like when you're the way New Jersey is like when you're very well known, your family's well known, you're very good, you're very resourceful, you know a lot of people, you can pretty much get anything you want. So leaving New Jersey, it's like I had everything catered to me there. I had a good clientele. I had my cousin who had his barbershop. It's a family-owned business. You know, I had a good position there. You know, all my family, I have other family members that had businesses, restaurants, stores. So it was handed to me. And me coming down to Miami in 2002, a lot of people told me that was, they didn't agree with that decision.
I mean, I personally, I love that decision. For you to take everything that you learned from Jersey and apply it in Miami, somewhere like you said that is a place where nothing is given to you and you're handed to you. Like you're gonna build it from nothing. Like I respect that 100%.
Absolutely, and that's what it became for me. When I came here, I felt challenged. I felt challenged because the economy at the time, Miami wasn't nothing of what we see on back here behind us. That whole entire skyline. I wasn't there in 2002, you know, so I saw the transition of the city. I saw Miami take this turn, and the reason why I desired to be here is because I always knew that there was a magic to this city. You know, there was like a special network, a energy here, you know, and it pushed me back in this direction. Obviously, I wanted to be next to my mom too, and when I came down here and started cutting hair, man, it opened up the door to many blessings.
When you came back down here, did you open your own shop or were you?
No, I started working at a barbershop called Cuts.
Okay.
This was a barbershop on Biscayne Boulevard. It was a well-known by the public that Alonzo Mourning had like a partnership per se in the barbershop. And another entrepreneur in the industry, a barber called Peter, he was also the owner of the barbershop, and they gave me the opportunity to work there, so I started working there.
Nice.
And when I started working there, you know, I started to build a real big clientele,
Yeah, that's amazing. Shout out to Alonzo Mourning. That guy, it's a super nice guy. I serve at restaurants, so I've taken care of him a couple times, and he's always just one of the nicest people to take care of. Nice. Always says thank you. He's always appreciative. Like
he's always been cool. Always been a nice guy, and you know, I know Zoe, and again, respect to him and everything that he's done, and you know, he's just one of these big, you know, a legend in the city, man.
Yeah,
Zoe's done a lot,
definitely.
You know, and he's a good person, and you know, I'm glad to see where he's at in his life and his career, and so, you know, that was a dope opportunity that I got working there. You know, I'm glad.
Was that like, you told me that when you got back down to Miami, there was something that you knew, like, you just blew up?
Again, I knew that there was what I came to deliver here, and I knew that when I had left New Jersey at the time, like the skills that I had in cutting hair, like I was very advanced at what I was doing. I was very advanced, and when I came out here, I was already doing things and trending things and doing styles and cuts that people weren't doing. There's a lot of barbers in this city who know who I am, and they know exactly what I'm saying. They can vouch for it. You know, I was innovating certain things, and it got me a real big reputation in cutting hair. I came out in the New Times magazine. You know, and it's, again, I have no issue speaking about this because it's no secret. I've cut Dwyane Wade's hair for many years, you know, and that's a good friend of mine as well. I met him at Alonzo Mourning's barbershop, so you know it's a lot of history. It's a lot of history.
Yeah, shout out Dwyane Wade.
Yeah, a lot of history.
It's a legend in Miami right there too.
So you know it's a lot of things that, again, I don't boast or brag or anything like that. I'm humbly the person that I am, and I'm grateful that, you know, I've accomplished what I've accomplished in my career, and I'm fortunate to have cut the people that I've cut. So, you know, it's been a blessing. It's been an amazing journey, and I still have a lot more to learn and a lot more to go through, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I love that mindset, and I appreciate that because we're all learning from you and everything that you've been through and what you know, currently go through and currently just learn and apply. It all comes back to us as we listen. So we definitely appreciate, like, you just telling your story, where you came from, and just where you're headed, because, I mean, from what I saw, like, I first met you at the shop that you had in Wynwood, and when I stepped foot in there, I was just completely mind-blown, because I have never, like, I'm a person that I always have a fresh cut. I try to get a cut once a week, you know, like, I like to look, like, clean. I just love the feeling. Mm-hmm. And I've never been to a shop where I feel like I'm at home, you know what I mean? Like, most shops, you walk in and then you sit down, and then you just wait for the barber. The only other shop I'll say is Freshman Barbershop. Shout out to Fabian, because that's my boy. But what you have is special because you walk into that shop and you feel like you just step foot in a man cave.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you got the pool table, you got a
domino table.
Domino table.
Yeah,
Domino
the punching
table's big
bag,
in Miami.
yeah.
The punching bag, like it's a place where I want to go just to chill, even if I don't need a cut.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Thank you. Yeah.
So is that what like I guess the innovation that you mentioned, was that part of it, or what set you different, like set you apart from all the other barbers in Miami?
I'm a person, brother, that I like to speak facts, always the truth, and be transparent with things. In saying that, you know, I give people the backstory on how my barbershop started in Wynwood, right? So basically, there was a barbershop in New Jersey called the Chop Shop. And this barbershop had been in my city for many years. It was kind of like one of the barbershops down the strip that I worked at my cousin's shop in my city in Elizabeth in New Jersey. So the Chop Shop, the two brothers, these guys were innovators. You know, they were also in the industry, very smart, knew a lot about business. They came out to Miami. They opened a barbershop called the Chop Shop. And they had gotten that space in Wynwood. So when they got the space in Wynwood, coincidentally, me and one of the out of the two brothers, we had seen each other. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And when we had seen each other, he had told me to come by his place, to come check it out. When I went and I checked it out, I fell in love with it. It was a beautiful spot. It was in Wynwood. And it happened to be the barbershop that I ended up opening up later on. That's crazy. So, you know, shout out to them as well, because, and again, that's to give people the backstory on how I really came across this place, you know, because I never want to discredit nobody, right? You want to be always transparent with things and say the truth about a situation where these guys were also innovators, and they had his concept was a dope concept. The way he had his layout, the Chop Shop Barbershop was a well-known barbershop. They also had a barbershop on Biscayne Boulevard, and then they went ahead and opened up one in Wynwood. So when I went to go see that shop, I had started working at the shop. Amir had asked me to work at the shop with him, and when I started working at the shop with him, shortly after a couple months of me being there, he decided that he wanted to venture off into some other things. And in a personal conversation, he just told me if I would be interested in maybe talking to the owners and taking over the shop. You know, so I went ahead and I did so, and that's how I opened my shop. And I transitioned everything. I changed it, changed the whole look, gave it a different facelift, named it my barbershop. So
yeah, man, it's dope.
Yeah, so you know, that's kind of the backstory.
That's crazy, man. And what I love about it is that it's in the heart of Wynwood, but it's so low key too.
Yeah.
So what shop are you at now? You said it's a little bit up north, right?
Well, this barbershop that we're currently at is 6 minutes away from our old location.
Nice.
And again, you know, we've been in Wynwood. We were in Wynwood for 5.5 years. We were at that location. We were well established there, but you know, unfortunately, with the demographic and things that are going on in Wynwood, with all the construction and new high rises that are being built, we had to move under those circumstances. And we went ahead and relocated 6 minutes away. So we're borderline Buena Vista, Little Haiti. Going to be better known as Magic City. It's a new up and coming area. I'm kind of glad we got to the party early, because pretty soon the whole neighborhood is going to be transitioned.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. So, speaking of that, what do you think is next for Miami in terms of the skyscrapers? Do you think we're going to keep expanding into that area? Because
Miami's man.
I ask because you mentioned like 2002, none of these buildings were here, so you got me thinking, like, as you said, we're continuing to expand and there's so many renovations, there's so many buildings even in Wynwood. Where do you see Miami in like 10 years? It's crazy to think.
Yeah, Miami's again, there's so much foreign interest in Miami. You know, Miami's this place that it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful peninsula in the country, right? It's almost like being on a tropical paradise in America.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're fortunate that we have a place like this. And there's a lot of different people, so many good networks that are coming into the city, and there's a lot of interest of investments and money and, you know, developments and stuff like that. So I definitely see Miami continuing to grow, because it's the place that everybody wants to be at right now.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to be here. So I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I will say this. The traffic shit sucks.
It's crazy.
It's only getting worse.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's again like one of my biggest things is like I don't mind hustling, I don't mind grinding, I don't mind sacrificing to get what I want because I can't imagine living that 9 to 5 lifestyle and sitting in that traffic because when I do get stuck in it, it's bad, bro. Like sitting in a car going 5 miles an hour in the highway for 40 minutes is very frustrating.
Super frustrating.
Yeah, bro. I love having the freedom of like throughout my day to, go out and do what I have to do, make my connections, make my calls, and then I try to be home by 5, bro. It's crazy out there after 5.
Yeah, I don't blame you. After 5, I don't want to move around either. I'm in the barbershop at that hour, so I'm
nice,
not. Yeah, I'm good as far as that time moving around. I try to move around myself. I'm like 10 to 12, and then 7 p.m. and after.
Exactly.
And that's it. I don't try to see these roads or these streets. It's a lot of chaos out there.
How's it over there in New Jersey when it comes to like the hustle and bustle, the grind?
Oh, man.
Is it like a big difference?
Yeah, it's, like I always tell people, there's hustlers everywhere, right? The mindset of a hustler is everywhere. And no matter where you go, you're always going to find hustlers. New Jersey is obviously a place that it's very congested. There's a lot of people that live in a small area. So everything seems like 3 to 4 times more, I guess you can say, right? Life is moving at a faster pace, I guess you can say. It's the big city, like the city life. And over there, you got to really be on your hustle. You got to know how to cut. If you don't know how to cut, you won't get business. So when I was in that environment of haircutting and being amongst the barbers that I was amongst in my cousin's barbershop, you had to be on your game. You had to be good. You had to be nice. And you had to make sure that you weren't pushing nobody's hairlines back. You were giving quality haircuts. And you were just being, a consistent barber overall. And being on your hustle. And if you were doing that, you were making money. If you weren't seeing no clients. So that hustle that was instilled in me, obviously when I came out here, I had already cut so many people's hair in Miami in the 90s, early 90s. So coming back out here, reconnecting with friends and old clients of mine, it was perfect. The hustle that I brought from up there and then what I connected down here was like the great matchmaking.
Yeah, that's special.
The hustle mentality from up north, but at the same time, a person that was driven with a vision, because I seen what Miami's potential was. I seen what Miami was growing into. I seen the way the Heat organization was moving in a certain direction, and
yeah, shout out Pat Riley.
And Dwyane coming to the city and Shaq coming to the city.
Yeah, that was huge.
And it started to bring this spark, sports started thriving again in the city. And
I remember 2003, the Florida Marlins.
Of course, so
they were big too.
Exactly, they won.
That team was stacked.
It was dope because I got to see that whole transition in the city of Miami and see what it turned into and what it's continuing to turn into this current day. And it's something where I tell a lot of people, you can't take none of this shit for granted, man. You can't take none of this shit for granted. It's a blessing. So
it is. You got to be grateful every day. That's like the key to life, I feel like, just being grateful every day, especially if you live in Miami. Like, I feel like we live in the most beautiful city, like you said, the most beautiful peninsula, and just such a different place when it comes to America. Mm-hmm. I've traveled a lot, and I love traveling, but I don't think I've ever found a place like Miami where I would love to call home. Yeah. And that's what Miami is to me.
Yeah, it's become my home, too.
Yeah, bro, I love it.
Yeah, I love this place, and, again, many people told me I wouldn't make it here. I used to laugh at that when I was leaving New Jersey because people were like, oh, Miami's difficult. The economy's tough. There's not money in circulation. Again, this is all in the early 2000s. Miami was it was a lot different then. The late 90s, early 2000s, Miami the economy still wasn't booming here. But it was always this attraction. It was always this place that people wanted to come to and party. And I always had this vision that when I came here, I said, man, every time I've been in Miami, I've had great encounters, meeting so many good people, networks, people from different countries, from different cities. There was always that element to it. And then just basing upon knowing that there was that aspect to Miami and my family being here, me coming back here knew that I can grow into something that people couldn't see me doing. Everybody was underestimating it. Everybody was like, yo, it's going to be difficult. You know, you shouldn't leave Jersey. You got clients. Why are you going to leave your clientele? And for me, I just had bigger aspirations. I said, you know, I want to be challenged. I want to go to a place where people can tell me I can't make it, and I want to prove them wrong. I want to show them that you can make it. So there's a lot that drove me to become the barber that I became in my career, you know, and again, it's a blessing. It's something that I don't take for granted.
Yeah.
You know? So.
No, I respect that because I could definitely relate. I love putting myself in big pressure situations. I love putting myself in uncomfortable situations. Like, I think that's where we grow as individuals. Like, you can't just take the easy road the whole time because you're not going to get better. You're not going to learn.
Correct.
But yeah, man, it's just a blessing to be able to live in this city, honestly. And when it comes to like you said, you just followed your vision, and even though everybody was telling you one thing, you just chose that different route. Has that always been instilled in you? Like, did you play maybe sports growing up that you had that competitive edge?
I played baseball.
Okay, same.
I played football. I played basketball. I boxed. You know, my father was an athlete, so I love sports. Anybody who grew up with me in New Jersey, here even in Miami, knew I could play real good sports when I was young. But I just had this other skill set to myself, and haircutting was something that was self-taught. And, you know, when you're young and you're cutting people's hair and people are just here paying you money, and mind you, I'm young, I'm living with my parents, I ain't paying rent. So I'm just collecting all my money, you know, and it was something where I was like, damn, this kind of feels good. You know, nobody's bossing me around, nobody's telling me what to do. This is something that I taught myself. And seeing that element to that craft really attracted me to it. And, you know, I can't lie, it kind of pushed me away from sports that I was very good in. But I took more of a liking and an interest into cutting hair because, again, it was something that I taught myself. It wasn't something that anybody taught me. And baseball was taught to me. You know, football was shown to me. I ended up learning how to play it, but you're obviously being coached and shown how to do it. Haircutting wasn't that. It was more trial and error for me. You know, like I had to grab the clippers and fuck up a lot of times before I can get it right. You know, so it was that particular element to it that drove me more to that pursuing of that craft and saying, like, this is what I want to do, and making the decision in my life to say, yo, I want to be a barber. And, you know, it's funny because certain people laughed at the time within my family and older friends, like, oh, you know, barber, how much money can you really make being a barber? And, you know.
That's the thing, you just don't know until you know. Yeah. Like, that's what I tell people when it comes to, like, I was the type that after playing baseball, I just figured it out. I got my real estate license and I started bartending, and then I realized that hospitality is where the money really is at, especially in a place like Miami. Right. But when you get somebody that just doesn't know, they'll tell me the same thing. Like, why are you in a restaurant? How much money could you make there? You'd be surprised.
Absolutely. And you, of course, you never want to be you never want to be subjected to nobody else's standards of you, right? That's not, you can't live life like that. I don't live life like that. I don't waste my time worrying about what other people think. I don't do that. I don't let that consume me in any type of way. So I'm driven more by a force that it's kind of like, I don't care what your opinion is. I'm going to show you what I do. And when I do, maybe I'll earn your respect then. You understand? Because action's always going to speak louder than words. And I've been the type of guy my whole life that it's like, let me show you what I can do rather than I can tell you what I can do. And we'll see what the results are after. So taking that route, it's been a blessing because it's allowed me to become the person that I am now. And humbly, I'm still, again, even knowing what I know in my craft throughout life, still a baby in wisdom, still ready to learn more and experience more in my life, you know, so.
Where do you go to find that knowledge or like to seek more knowledge nowadays?
I mean, you know, life's experiences, brother, are going to be the best teacher, right? I always tell people, life gives us the lessons first and the answers later. And ironically, we don't understand that in the midst of the moment, because you could be going through something, you could be having an experience in your life and be in a rough time, and it's hard to see a better day when you're in that moment. So, you know, going through moments like that in my life and having a down moment, it took years later to get past certain things, to look back on it and saying, damn, it's beautiful the way it all worked out, because that had to happen. Things have to happen in your life. They have to shift you in a certain direction. And if they don't, you know, you're going to take life for granted. That's why I put so much emphasis on never taking anything for granted and being grateful for everything that we have in our lives, and not being a person that's complacent and, you know, always discontent about things. I try to do my best to adapt to the circumstances of things. So wisdom and knowledge is something that, you know, is something that I'm eager to keep learning and wanting to continue my journey in life to experience certain things. So one day, maybe my life and things that I've been through can be a survival guide for somebody else, right? I can help guide somebody through their problems, you know, go through my experiences. So,
yeah, that's big.
Yeah, that's how I look at that.
I feel that.
You know, and again, I'm also a firm believer in, you know, we can't get caught in the midst of the moment when certain things are happening. We have to understand that things happen in our lives because they have to shift us in a different direction. They have to. You're not going to understand that at the moment. I know a lot of people who can look at an interview and be like, what does he mean? What does he mean by that? Like, things have to happen. And you might not know why they're happening at that moment. Again, the answers will be revealed later on in your life. When you look back on them, you'll understand why that particular situation occurred in your life. And I always do my best in my own journey to understand that. So it helps me get through things. It helps me get through life better. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like try not to take the approach of just continuing to just try to figure it out yourself and ask why and why. I like to tell people that, like, if it wasn't your fault, it just wasn't your destiny. Like, if you did everything in your power to make sure that you were doing the right thing and the right job, and then life took you in a different direction and you have no idea why, or like it just wasn't your fault or whatever, if it wasn't your fault, then it's not your destiny. It happened for a reason, and you got to just continue moving forward.
Correct.
And I also like to tell people, like, only look at your past if you're trying to learn from it. Don't dig in the past to find these emotions that are irrelevant in the present, because they're not going to flow you in the right future.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, the past is a big lesson. Like, a big teacher is your past, I would say, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want to revolve in cycles. And looking in your past, you can be revolving in a problem. Many people unfortunately, through experiences and traumas, and people can get caught in their past. And I get it. Maybe we won't see eye to eye with everybody's point, because particular people have gone through certain things that doesn't allow them to move forward. But, you know, what I would say is, in life, we just got to do our best to keep propelling ourselves forward, to keep evolving and becoming a better version of ourselves every day. It's like your life is always under construction, right? You're always working on a different aspect of yourself. So, you know, I'm a firm believer in, I don't try to ponder upon the past. You know, I do understand that things from your past can reoccur. Believe me when I tell you that. Certain things, you have to know your past, because challenges will represent themselves. And where you think you might have gotten over a certain situation, or you're like, no, you know, I don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
That test can reoccur in your life again. And it's going to see whether you did or you didn't. And I always tell people, don't ever underestimate that at all, because it happens. It's the natural paradigm of this world. Things are going to come back into your life again, and it's going to retest who you are. And when it does, you got to see if you stand firm and you can pass the test, or you're going to revolve and go backwards. So, I'm a firm believer in doing the best that you can, man, to master the art of not making the same mistake twice, I guess you can say. You know?
Yeah. No, definitely.
That's one of the keys, you know?
Yeah. That's big because I feel like you could relate to that with boxing.
Correct.
Because I know you're big on boxing, and I feel like boxing is an art in itself. You gotta. I saw Mike Tyson interview yesterday where he was talking about like he may make a move, but that move is to set up his next move.
His next move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like chess.
Exactly.
It's just like chess. I like to play pool a lot too. I shoot a lot of pool. So, in shooting pool, it's the same thing, same aspect, right? You're taking a shot, but you're setting up another shot.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, it's kind of the same element in boxing, and that element has to be applied in every aspect of your life, though, not just boxing. And that's why boxing has this, this parallel with our lives and the way things are. You know, sometimes our backs can be up against the ropes. You know, sometimes life can knock you down. Sometimes it can look like you're losing the fight, but it's what's inside of you that you can muster yourself to come back from that, right? So the reason why boxing has this correlation with a lot of people is because of that. It has so many of the same elements to our lives and things that we go through, you know, and we see that expression through these men that have the will and the guts and determination to get in the ring and bang it out, you know, and put it all on the line, because boxing is a sport that can never be underestimated. People lose their lives inside of that ring. And it's a sport where you can't play this, you know? You can't play this. I don't think that it's something that people should, I know there's like this whole trend of guys wanting to be boxers and stuff like that, but it's something you don't want to play games with, you know, because you can really get hurt. And there's a lot of men. I'm sure you've seen you follow boxing, right? Conor?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've seen there's a lot of boxers that's lost their lives.
Yeah.
Boxing.
So it's the thing about boxing is just like, even if you have a great match, even if you're 20-0, the hits that you took to become 20-0 can affect you in the long term.
In the long term, exactly.
What I love about boxing is that, like you said, it teaches you about life in a way. It's kind of like a game like pool and chess, but I don't like to box to competitively. I like to box for the cardio of it.
Correct.
I feel like it's the best workout you could have aside from swimming. Swimming is one of the best workouts you can have with cardio too. Because I'm not really a big runner, so I rather just get in the ring or get on the punch the bag and just like the art, like you said, like the art of boxing is just really, it's a mental game.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's how it is with life too. Life is a big mental game.
Very big
your
mental
mind is gonna take you everywhere you go. That's one thing that that nowadays we find ourselves with a lot of distractions, because like it's interesting. We grew up on a time where we got to see the flip phone and now we got to see the iPhone. So we're able to compare the two. But there's some people that they just grew up with the iPhone, so they gotta adjust to that, and it's a tough life. Like I remember when I was a kid, I was always constantly outside. I was an outside guy. Like I didn't even really play video games. I was always playing sports, and like if I was bored, I would go create something. You know.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I feel like people are almost not able to be bored because they're constantly distracted. Because if you're bored for a second, you can just pull out your phone.
Yeah.
So it's different times, and it's cool because we get to see both. But it's weird to think kind of where we're headed with that.
Yeah, that's a deep topic. You know, it's a deep topic because,
it's like a gift and a curse because so much could be done. I'm so grateful for my phone. You know, like
of
the
course,
business
absolutely.
that could be ran through a phone is insane. But I guess that's where you just got to go back to like disciplines. That's why you just got to be like you said, you got to want to be a better person every day. Because if you truly try to be a better person every day and like you're aware that the phone is a distraction, then I guess that's just the key to it. You just got to be mentally aware. Correct. And want to be better every day.
Yeah, you got to be. You definitely got to be conscious of it. I agree, and it's crazy because again, like you said, it's a blessing that we have this technology and access to these things, but it's the great gift and the curse, right? It's the paradigm, the duality system, good and bad, right? There's a good aspect to it. There's a bad aspect to it, and Unfortunately, the bad aspect to it takes a long-term effect, right? So what's the long-term effect of that? Like you said, and when you were a young kid, when I was a young kid, it was all about going outside, getting dirty, playing, having fun, being creative, doing different things.
Exactly.
You know, and I grew up, brother, in the '80s where we were inspired by ninja movies. You know, we go outside and do ninja missions. You know, when we were young kids and dress up and,
that was my favorite Halloween costume, a ninja.
So
yeah.
you know, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you're talking about, and unfortunately, you know, humanity's kind of losing that, and it's being driven by something much bigger than many people can understand. You know, I'll leave that there for you, but it's something where I just hope and pray that, like you said, people can be conscious and kind of police themselves on limiting themselves and being so distracted by a telephone. You know, like, use it for its good components and for what it can be useful for, but don't let it overtake your life.
Yes,
that's what I'm about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not knocking nobody. I get it. A lot of people have been out there and been able to do a lot of things with their phone. And again, it's the gift and the curse, right? There's a lot of people whose phones got them in trouble.
Well, yeah,
You know?
no, for sure. But my thing is like, if you're gonna be on your phone constantly, like if you're running a business through it and you're, you know, making connections, networking, like that's great, that's amazing. But don't be too much of a consumer on it. You know, like if you're just consuming all of the content and, you know, buying like online shopping for no reason, then just try to be more aware. Like, that's why I like to just have these conversations and, you know, record them and put it on the podcast too, because many people could feel like they're constantly distracted or don't have enough time and wonder why. And like, you just got to realize you just got to put your phone down and find yourself. That's something I preach too. Like, you really got to spend alone time and talk to yourself, because there's a head. I mean, there's a voice in that head. In everybody's head, there's a voice. So, not to say like don't be crazy and go to a park and talk to yourself like out loud, you know, like, but mentally you should just detach yourself from your phone and from others, and like 1 hour a day, like meditation. Just talk to yourself and see where you want to go in life. See what you want out of that, and then envision if you already got it, like, is that really what you wanted? Like, try to put yourself in that mindset and maybe be more distracted by trying to accomplish your goals than just being on a phone. Like, absolutely. I feel like I have separation anxiety sometimes from my goals, because like if I'm like just on my phone for too long, I will start to feel bad that I'm not doing what I should.
Yeah, that can be definitely a problem for all of us, right? I mean, like you said, earlier, we got to do our best to police ourselves, right? We got to do our best to minimize the amount of usage to our telephones and you know, just don't let it take up valuable time, and don't let it rob you of the essence of the moment that you're living in.
Yeah,
you know,
that's big.
Because it's unfortunate that I see a lot of people, for example, they go to concerts or they go to a venue or an event and everybody feels the need to have to film it. And the whole entire time you're in this physical experience, but you're watching the entire show through the lens of your phone. You're not even embracing your physical experience.
Yeah, for that you could be watching it at home from someone else's. Like...
So you're already being conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
You're already dosed to what's gonna come later. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like it's something where if you're smart and you can pick up on what a lot of this shit is in these devices, you can understand that it's the pretext to something much bigger.
I get you. Yeah, I 100% understand.
A lot of people don't understand it. Again, there's a give and a take in everything. Life is like that. It's the system that, you know how we always say the universal law, right? We put something out, it comes back. It's like when you fire a firearm, right? You shoot a gun. The same force that kicks that projectile forward kicks back.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a force that kicks back. So with that being said, you know, it's unfortunate that, yeah, we have access to these computers and these devices and all this cool stuff that gives us access to information. But there's an extraction from that. And that extraction is what's being the counterintelligence. Like, what is it taking from us? And it knows everything about us. Right?
Yeah. That's why I like to have these, again, like I like to have these conversations and just just think more about those type of situations. For example, if you were to see a celebrity out in public, this is just me the way I think. You know, some people would play it differently. But to me, a picture, if I was to, for example, I see a celebrity, let's say Dwyane Wade in public, I'm not the type of person that I'm going to run up to Dwyane Wade and try to take a selfie with him and ask him for a picture and then walk away because I'm happy because I got a selfie with Dwyane Wade or a picture with Dwyane Wade, and then no connection, no how are you, barely any eye contact, just like straight up picture and walk away. Like, some people, it would make their day. But to me, I'm like, if I don't have a good quality conversation with Dwyane Wade, I don't deserve a picture. So like, maybe people, it would help if you think in reverse, where it's like, let me go try to talk to him and ask him how his day has been, and like, let me see if I have some quality conversation. Let him know that I'm a huge fan. Let me just let you know that I support everything you're doing, what you stand for. And then maybe if he, you know, takes that in a nice way and we get to a picture, then that's amazing. Like, that, to me, that's what's valuable. And that goes back to what you're saying about like a physical experience. Absolutely. Like, don't be too caught up on a screen, because the physical experience is what gives you the real feeling, and the feeling is what's going to take you to real places.
Exactly. I mean, in an old school way, I would say this, right? Seeing a person in the physical presence, the reason why I don't need to ask for a picture is because I experienced that moment already. I lived it. I have the vivid image captured in my mind already because I lived that physical experience. That's enough for me. I'm not in any way this person that's ever gonna feel the need to have to show the world everything that I see or everything that I encounter or come across. Unfortunately, that's just a conditioning that's happening in our society today, where we're seeing a lot of people feeling the need to have to post everything that they do.
Yeah.
And you know, sadly to say, as much as they try to say, you know, well, I do well by this, and I got this, and I got that, and I got the third. Again, it's a give and a take, right? Because your skin's got to be thick for certain things. You know, in a system where something's giving you a lot, it's going to take a lot.
That's
and when
true.
it starts to take, you gotta be ready to muster more than you can think or bear. You know, and that's the problem that a lot of people fail to understand. That's why, to me, I'm okay with if I come across a person or I see it, and like you said, in respects to what you were saying. If it comes across as a genuine conversation, you're talking and boom, you guys happen to get a picture, like, yo, it was more than just a snap a shot and keep it moving. It's like, damn, I got to live this physical experience. I had a conversation with this person. There's more value to that.
You know, it's funny, that actually happened to my friend, where he, shout out to Marvin, he's a videographer here in Miami, and he was able to work with President Trump in one of his interviews, and he was the one that did the lighting for him. And Trump asked who did the lighting because he did such a great job, and then Marvin said, oh, it was me. And then they got to talking, some small conversation, and he didn't plan on, he's professional, so he wasn't going to ask for a picture. But what turns out happening is Trump asked him if he wanted a picture, and then Marvin's like, yeah, of course, you know, like,
that's how it goes sometimes, you know. And again, that's all with just embracing the moment, man. Embrace the physical reality that you're living in. Be graceful for that. There's no need to have to show the world, oh, look, you know, look who I was with. This is, I took a picture. There's no need for all that, you know, and I get it. Some people live for that. Maybe that makes a person's moment. You know, I'm not trying to downplay anybody who viewpoints a person as a big fan. I'm not trying to, you know, in any way insult nobody, but it's something I would never do, because I'm more a person that just wants to embrace that physical experience, that moment, and I lived it. And if somebody was there to share that moment, then me and that person have that memory. You know, it's like one of your boys you can call up, yo, remember when we had that? You know, it's something like that, and I'm okay with that. Social media has conditioned a lot of people to feel the need to have to just, like, I want to update people about my life every day. And then the problem about that is when somebody has something negative to say, now they're in their feelings. But the problem is you're being this open book to the world and wanting to insight everybody into your personal life. So if somebody has something to say, you got to get ready for that. You understand? So I don't think really people understand the magnitude of that sometimes, right? They feel, yeah, I love this social media, and yeah, you know, I can make money and I can promote myself and this. Cool. Just tread careful. That's all I say. Tread careful and do it, like you said earlier.
Protect your energy and your time.
Do it for the right reasons. Do it for the things that, and again, police yourself. If you're gonna do it to capitalize on certain things, but it's not something that consumes so much of you, you can do it. But if it's something that you feel is consuming you, it's important that we're always on top of policing ourselves to know that we just can't have that.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly, how you were saying, like, if someone gets a picture with someone that they admire and they're super excited and they're so excited that they feel the need to share it with somebody, that right there is dangerous in a way, because that energy that they feel, that love that they have for that picture, they should just keep that, like, enjoy that. That's what you got out of that. But now, what if this person's a hater and they give them all that energy and say, look at this picture that I just took with this person that I love, and then they're just like, yeah, whatever.
Exactly.
Now that energy just went down a little bit just because of some other person.
Because of a negative opinion or a negative view, and that's the unfortunate shit.
And I'm big on that, like energy and just attracting what you want out of life. And I feel like you are too. So I'm wondering, is there a point in your life where you realized or you learned more about the law of attraction and what it could do?
Yeah, I mean, I would always tell people that we're all born, we all have this in us, bro. It's like an internal vault that's inside of every human.
I say it's like the law of gravity. It's a law of the universe. You don't see it, but it's there.
It's something, brother, where many humans don't know the potential that we're all gifted with. Everybody's born with it. Unfortunately, some will never touch their potential. They will, because it's a vault. It's within everybody. And it's something where I always knew that I had this magic to me. Like I had this way of attracting people with a liking of things that I can just do. Whether it was being crafty in a sport, whether it was being skilled with my handset, right, and cutting hair. But with that internal gift, I know that there's many people that are born with that, but many people will never touch their potential, and I was able to access my potential. I was able to tap into what God gifted me with. And it's something where if I can ever promote a message to many people on a broader scale, you can never, ever, ever underestimate the abilities that you have. Because if the mind is blind to the possibility, the eyes are going to be blind to the opportunity. You understand me? So you have to have, at least within your own mindset, you have to believe that you can do it. And that's going to get you already halfway there. And then the rest is when the opportunity presents itself, you got to seize your moment, right? But the problem is self-doubt doesn't allow people to see that. That's why when the mind is blind to the possibility, the eyes end up becoming blind to the opportunity because the mind don't believe it. So the opportunity comes in that person's life and they bypass on that particular opportunity that they have. And it's unfortunate because we all have these potentials. We all have this magic. But unfortunately, some people will never access it. Some people will never know what it's like. They'll live a whole life never touching that potential that they had. And then there's many of us that will tap into that internal creativity, and you have a creativity, you have a vision, you have a mindset. And that's what's bringing you to this platform that you're at now, because you have your calling, you have your gift, and you want to tap into that potential. So, I have the utmost respect for someone like yourself that is seeking this journey and wanting to learn more. And, obviously, like anything, you want to blossom. You want to get better at it, right? And it's going to take you to places that, in this current moment, like I told you earlier, you can't even understand.
Yeah, I'm excited, though. I can't wait.
I'm glad to be here in the beginning.
I appreciate
so maybe
that, yeah.
Later on, years down the road, we can have a discussion and be
you'll be back.
Yeah.
What I do is, like, I'm going to continue bringing guests back, like, 6 months, 3 months, whenever you feel like you want to come back, you just come back. We'll do another episode with you. We'll talk about, like, how the last episode, where you were at, where you've been, what you're doing, where you're headed. We're going to, once a year minimum, we're going to be, constantly updating each other on what's going on and supporting each other. That's another thing. Like, I'm big on support. Like, anyone that I have here is going to get support from me and all my following. And
Likewise.
If you're a barber, we're going to go visit you at your barbershop. If you're a DJ, we're going to go watch you perform. Like, whatever you are, like, we all have each other's backs, and that's kind of what I want to create. But I agree with everything you're saying about, like, just the law of attraction and how it's within us, and some people will never know. But what I would just tell those people that, like, don't know or are questioning it, just know that it is real. And what you need to do is have faith. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, I could have vision, and I could have, dedication and drive, but that can only last a day or two if I have no faith. And a lot of times, especially nowadays, people are into instant gratification and they don't have patience. And there's a lot of distractions. So when you put all that together, it's the feelings that attract what you want out of life. So if you're not focused and you don't have faith and you're constantly distracted, then you're only gonna know what you want for a day, maybe a week, but it's not gonna happen in a week. It could take up to 10 years.
Correct.
It could take 5, it could take 3 years. But you gotta know what you want, and you gotta just have faith that it's gonna happen. And anything that happens along the way, don't let it knock you down. And if it does knock you down, learn from it. Because another thing is, I hear this all the time, get knocked down 7, but I got back 8. Honestly, to me, that's so what? You got back 8, but if you got knocked down 7, you're gonna get knocked down 8. You're gonna get back on the 9th one, but what's gonna happen? Why did you get knocked down 7 times? Yeah. Learn. Every time you get knocked down, learn from something.
Of course.
And then keep adjusting. And I feel like if you keep the faith and you know what you want to do and you have passion and love for it, then that's where the law of attraction really happens in your life. And when you really get to see it and witness it, that first time, it opens up that vault, like you said, where now you know that your potential as a human being is limitless.
Absolutely.
So stop setting boundaries and stop thinking small, because you're capable of so much more.
Yeah, of course. Our mind always has to arrive at our destination before our life does. And, I'm the type of person where I got to put my mind there first, right? I got to get there first in my mindset. And once I get there in my mindset, now I got to physically bring myself present there. And like I said earlier, we all have that internal magic. We all have that ability, but to me, the people who are not using it are unfortunately a lot of people who just have a lot of self-doubt. That's not what I try to be. I always try to be a person that's motivating, inspiring people, and in doing so, I'm a firm believer in helping push people forward to see the law of attraction, to see the possibility that they can create more than they think. And you don't get a lot of that sometimes. It doesn't hurt nobody to support somebody. And that's why, again, I appreciate the platform and what you're trying to create, because it's the mindset of each one teach one, each one's looking out for one another. And it's that mindset where it should never, in any type of way, cost you anything to speak words of encouragement to an individual that's going through something, right? It doesn't have to be egotistic or nothing like that. And I've never been the type of person where I downplay anything. I'll give you an example. One time somebody had called me and they were like, some guy posted a picture of one of your clients that he cut, and he's his barber, and I ain't gonna get into no specifics of names or anything like that, but I'll give you the scenario. And just to show you the mindset that I am. When the person called me and told me that, I said, okay, so, what's the problem? And it was like, I ain't like the fact that he was posting that he's this client's barber and you're really his barber. I said, yeah, I appreciate your friendship and your loyalty to me, but I'm not even upset about that. Why would that get me upset? You don't think that guy's worked his whole life to reach that moment that he got to cut that client's hair? If your favorite restaurant was closed today, the person who owns that restaurant shouldn't be offended that you went to another restaurant to go grab something. You understand? Where you felt the service was good and quality too. That's not something that should offend anybody. So when that person hit me, another person called me too, and another person had DM'd me on Instagram, like, yo, yeah, this person. So, I had to tell those guys as well. And I said, listen, let that person have their moment.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not knocking nobody.
You actually did, and this is just from books that I read and the knowledge that I consume myself. You did, the textbook right thing to do that so many people struggle with doing. And what that is if negativity comes your way in life, what you have to try to do is, one, completely ignore it and not let it affect you in any way. But what I read is the the most beneficial thing you could do with negative energy entering your life is somehow try to find a way to turn that into positive energy.
Correct.
So what happens to most people that are going off of emotions, when they receive negativity, they give back negativity. So negative is negative, and then so that guy that called you, he was probably expecting you to have a negative reaction because he had a negative reaction.
Correct.
But you did I can't preach enough. You did 100% the right thing, where you took that negative energy and you said, let the other guy have his moment. So you took that negativity and gave it to this other guy so that he could just be happy. And then what probably ends up happening is the guy goes back to you. He gave the other one his moment, and now, bro, everyone is happy. Everyone is good.
That's the way it should be, though. You understand? Like, the thing is, I don't have a trait of jealousy or animosity in my body. I don't move like that. I don't move on a system where there's a need to be jealous of anybody or knocking anybody what they're doing. You know, in respects to what people do, you do what you do that works best for you. That's how I see it. I'm not going to sit there and try in any way where I'm going to try to persuade a person to do something the way I want them to do it. You know, I don't do that right there. So just the simple fact that these people called me and they were like, their energy was like, oh, you know, hey, look, you know, and I said, you know, why should I be upset is the question that I had. I asked all three of them. I said, why should I be upset? And they were like a little shocked. They were like, Jay, you not mad about that? And I'm not like, no, why would I be upset? And they were like, well, you know, because he's posting a picture, like if he's the barber. And I said, yeah, but I don't care about that. And the reason why I don't care about that is because, again, coming from a perspective of a barber, a guy that's done what he's done for many years and worked my way up to building the clientele that I have.
Moment. Yeah, don't bring down his moment.
I can't knock a guy for having his moment. He's worked his whole life to maybe have that opportunity to be a fill in to cut a guy's hair because maybe I wasn't around. You understand? Like, maybe find out a little bit more detail why he even considered to go get it. You know, don't immediately see it in a negative perspective. And that was the problem. Like, they were seeing it in such a negative perspective where I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, that's that guy's moment. He deserves that. And it is what it is.
That's powerful.
You know?
That, to me, like the way that I think and the way that I see things, I feel like you giving him his moment the universe is gonna give you 10 times his moment, because the universe knows that when it gives you when negativity arises in your life, you pay no mind to it and you keep the peace and you just keep love around. And that's what's important. And I feel like that's where the like attract likes and the law of attraction favors you. And that's where people call it luck. People think that there's luck around, but in reality, you just got to be in tune. You got to just try to have good karma, try to be the best version of yourself, and then try to preach that to others and help them along the way too. Because this life is not easy, like for anybody. Even the most successful people in the world that you see them out on yachts living their best life, they probably had a lot of struggles to get to that point of life. So you should be happy for them that they're on the yacht living it up, because that right there is their moment. Like, they worked their ass off to get on that yacht. So never be mad or envious of people. Like, I'm the same. I don't there's no room in me for jealousy, only love.
Absolutely, exactly.
Because if somebody's doing what I love that. Like,
of course,
it's available. I love that. Like,
that's what it should be.
Let me learn. Like, how? Teach me.
I look at it like this, right? A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
Yes.
So life has to be rough. It has to have its moments. Then it roughens things up and it makes it turbulent, right? Because you wouldn't know what the good times are if you didn't experience the bad times. That's the paradigm of the world that we live in. We have to accept it as a balance of life. And we just got to find our way to live in between both and our peace, right? And many people don't understand that. Many people are you know, they're either consumed so much by negative, or they're allowing too many people to have these influences over their lives, which is unfortunate. And to me, I'm a person where I do my best always to inspire people, uplift people, even when people are in a negative state of mindset. Like, I'll do my best to instill positivity into that person and put light into their darkness, because that's who I like to be. I like to be a person that, you know, has that inspirational aspect to himself, that when I encounter certain individuals, I'm going to do my best to see if I can leave an everlasting impression, to express something or help a person or assist a person to where they want to get to, you know. And it's nothing that I want an expectation in return. That's why, to me, again, from earlier, like we were saying, jealousy is something that, to me, shouldn't even be something that people should have, because it takes nothing to applaud somebody. It takes nothing to do that. But some people sometimes are so anal and stuck in their ways, it's kind of like, nah, I don't want to applaud them. No, why not? I don't have a problem with it, because a guy like this kid who did the haircut, it's something that now he has that moment that he had, that experience, and now what does it do? It drives him to be better. It drives him to become even a better barber, because he had a moment where he was able to get an opportunity to cut a person that maybe he never thought he can cut. And why would I take that limelight away from somebody? So I'm not built like that. I like to see people win. I like to see people prosper in their lives and what they're doing. And I don't even have to know the individual. I really don't. I've come to a place in my life where, it's something where I want to see a lot of people win. I want to see a lot of people win. Not just people that I have to know. Because the more the people are doing good, is the more good that's gonna. It's like a virus. It spreads, And I just want to see a lot of people around me do good. I'm a well-wisher. When I pray, I put people in my prayers. Friends, family, co-workers, even people that I know that are going through tough times. I never not pray for people, because I want to see people win. I want to see people be successful. And if they don't wish the same for me, too bad. More power to them. But I'm the type of person that, again, there's no animosity, there's no jealousy in my blood. And if I can do something today that can help change your life, I don't want nothing in return. I don't expect nothing from you. I don't want you to feel the need to have to say, no, Jay, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to look you out. I did it because it feels good. It's a feeling overall. And more people should live like that. If you do something for somebody, don't expect anything in return. This way you're not upset about it later, And I'm sure you've seen tons of scenarios in your life like that where people are, I'll take care of you with this because you did something for them. And it's like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, it's like, it goes with like being a servant leader. Like,
exactly.
You do it out of the kindness of your heart. And like you said, that's what makes me feel good. That's all I need.
Yeah, it's something to me where I've done things for people. Like I've given haircuts, for example, where, I had an incident one time, a lady, she couldn't come up to my shop, and I told her that we do a mobile service for anybody that was like in a wheelchair or anything that couldn't come up to the shop. So I went ahead and I grabbed my cordless clippers, and she was okay. I said, it was a nice, cool day. It wasn't hot outside. We were in the shade. I said, you want me to cut your hair outside? And she was like, yeah, no problem. I cut her hair, and she went to pay me, and I was like, no, I don't want your money. Like, this was awesome. We got to share this experience that I've never cut nobody outside like that in front of a shop in a wheel. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I just had that moment, and she was like, no, please let me pay you. And I said, it's not about that. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. And it was an experience for me too. So in life, when you do things, try not to have an expectation on things, man. And I put that message out there to the public where it's like, if you put too much expectations, you're going to be a person that's going to be upset throughout your life. You're going to be let down all the time. You're going to be mad because, I did this for this guy, and this guy owes me this. Don't do it for that. And if that's what you got to do it for, then maybe you should reconsider.
Yeah, expectations sometimes, or most times, lead to disappointments. And I was listening to an interview with Big Sean, and what he was saying is like, he emphasizes that if you want, let's say, a white Lamborghini, like you really want that white Lambo, you keep telling yourself you want that white Lambo, the universe might have, I don't know, a black McLaren ready for you, but you didn't think that was possible. So you were so stuck on that white Lambo, but it was just never gonna happen. So what you should think is, don't expect, a specific car. Just want and love a nice one. Exactly. And then the universe has a plan for you, and it'll give you what's right for you. Yeah. And that's where you just become accepting and open to anything, and then just try to spread love and happiness. Really, it's all that matters.
Absolutely. Again, I'm on the same boat, brother.
Have you always had that mindset, or was there something like, as just growing up, that you realize that you know, my like the goals that I set are nice, but just helping people is really where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had the drive to help, you know, and that was obviously instilled in me from my parents. You know, my dad was that type of man. My mom, you know, they were very giving people and you know, always opening their doors and trying to help people, and just seeing that growing up put, you know, something in me. It's still something in me where any opportunities that I had to help people and help friends and people go through things. And again, sometimes in life you're gonna be in the midst of your own problem. You're gonna be going through something in your life, but even when you're going through something, you're still there to help somebody. And that, if you're that type of individual, there's no need to expect anything in return. The universal law will take care of you. You know, it's just the way it goes. And that's why I always tell people, you know, I give this scenario to people. It's like, let's say we're walking into a gas station, right? And you're walking behind me, I'm walking into the store, and I hold the door open for you. If you don't tell me thank you, I can't get offended by that. You know, once upon a time, I'd get offended by that. You know, oh, you're welcome. I felt the need to tell somebody that, right? But this is the thing. It took me years to understand that that person didn't ask me to hold the door open for them. I did that as a gesture, for we could both walk through it easier. Not because they owed me a thank you.
Never thought of it that way.
Not because they owed me a thank you to stroke my what I wanna be this guy who's like, I'm a kind person. I hold doors open for people and they owe me thank yous. I don't want to do that. That's not what I do it for. If I hold it open, I hold it open. If you don't tell me thank you, you know what? Cool. It's self-explanatory what type of person you are. Or not even maybe to say that you are a dick. Maybe it's just you got something on your mind. I don't know. But I don't judge it for that. I held it open so we can both walk through it easier. So I like to use that analogy and apply that to life, right? If I do something for you, if I hold the door open for you, you don't owe me a thank you. I ain't do it for that. I did it so we could just both walk through it easier.
That's a great way to think about it. I've never thought of it in that way, but it makes sense because a lot of people, they'll do something nice and then, like you said, they get offended that somebody didn't thank them. But in reality, it's like, you did something nice. Let's leave it there.
That's all it is. And if you want more in return, then don't do it. But I tell people it's better to not do it than to do it and then be upset when you don't feel that you got the proper attention from it, or the person to be appreciative of what it is that you did for them. And I don't do things in my life for that. I do them because I just want to do them. It's where I live as a person to be righteous, right? That's the spirit that I walk in. I walk in as being this individual where if I do something for somebody, again, I don't want nothing in return. If you tell me that you're going to do something, that's on you. If you don't do it, it's on you. I'm not the one that's going to look bad at the end of the day. You understand?
Yeah. No, you're big on protecting your energy, which is a key to life in reality. Like, again, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I love having these cameras on, because if it was just me and you, we would have just caught up and we would have had these conversations, but with no one else to listen to them. And I feel like this is extremely valuable because this type of stuff doesn't get talked about as often as it should.
Correct.
At least from what I've experienced, you know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, there's so many different elements to the things that we're speaking of that tie into the whole journey of life, right? The whole thing of, how life is going to play itself out for all of us. And I always try to tell people we can't take things too severe, because whatever it is that we can be going through in a particular moment of our lives, a couple of years from now, that shit won't even be relevant anymore. You'll be way beyond that problem, So we can't take things too severe. We got to know how to take them as a blow, like boxing. You take a punch, but then you go ahead and you give a punch back. Understand? That's just how it's got to go. And that's why life has, like I said earlier, about a give and take. It's going to give you things. It's going to give you a lot of things, but it's going to take a lot of things from you. And it took me years to understand that element in my life, where life takes something away, but it replaces it with something new, with something that you maybe didn't see as value, but it does have value. It might take time to see that. And that's what people they don't grasp that at times. A topic that you touched on earlier about, many people want instant gratification, right? Everybody wants to be a part of the outcome, but nobody wants to be a part of the process. And the reason for that is because the process of what it takes to get somewhere, a lot of people don't want to put that work in. And I can tap on so many different elements of how people try to cut corners to get to success, and many fail miserably because of the fact that there is no shortcut to
It's like cheating in school. Like if you're studying something that you love, you wouldn't cheat. You wouldn't take shortcuts. You learn throughout the hard process. Like the process is all about learning. But if you're trying to take shortcuts and you don't want to deal with the process, you're not going to learn. And like you said, if you're not mentally ready for the opportunity is simply not gonna be there. It's not gonna happen for you.
Correct.
And like that's why if you just have your mind right and you put your mind first before your body and your mind before your actions and your mind before your emotions, then you're able to make more conscious decisions. Because I feel like a lot of times we're in a world where our emotions are constantly out in the air for people to see, like whether it's social media or it's like Twitter, Instagram, this and that. Everyone's posting what they're doing and how they're feeling. But you can't really move with emotions unless they're powerful, like loving ones. Like you need to sit on the negative emotions and then like think about it and then move consciously. Because if you just move and react to that negativity, you're constantly going to be fighting with negativity. And this guy called you about this negative shit, so you tell him 500 negative shit that happened to you, and then you're talking to this one about this negative day at work, and it's just like,
when emotions are high, logic is low. Remember that.
That's the best way to put it.
People don't think in their best, sharpest state of mind when their emotions are getting the best of them, and that's a whole other topic. With women, they're very spiteful. But with men, we like to be a little bit more logical and thinkers. And for any women that watch this interview, I don't want nobody to be offended, but it's just something where you always want to think things through. You want to be a cerebral person and a person that's, again, applying this aspect of chess to your life and doing things where you're methodically thinking them out thoroughly. You're not just making these decisions based and driven by emotions, which a lot of people tend to do that. And again, everybody handles their stuff differently, in fairness, right? Part of self-growth is to understand that everybody's doing the best with their level of comprehension. Everybody's not going to see the world the way we do. Though you and I can sit here right now and conversate and agree upon multiple topics, there's somebody out there or two people out there that are wired different, and will see it in the complete opposite perspective. The more you get to understand that is the more you start to develop and grow as a person. You become more conscious of the way other people view things, because it can't always be just your viewpoint. And that's the problem a lot of people fall into. I see a lot of people falling into those problems because it's like, no, this is this is that. And yeah, you're right. But I can flip multiple perspectives for you. Right. It's like cutting your hair. I can give you a fade in multiple different ways and get the same result, sometimes even better. See what I'm saying? So It's kind of like 2 + 2 is 4, but so is 3 + 1. You understand? Like, I can get you there in other ways. And so when you start to understand that, it helps you balance life out a little bit differently. And I don't want to lose the train of thought on what I wanted to say in an aspect of knowing who certain people are in your life is important, right? Know the difference and be able to distinguish. And I'm going to give you another analogy. It's like kind of like a marathon, right? Life is like a marathon. And you got to know the difference of who wants to be there at the end to take a picture of you when you won the race. Like, yo, my boy, he won the race, number 1. Know the difference between that guy and the dude who was back there 20 miles holding up a sign saying that he believed in you. And you've worked your whole life for this moment, and you're closing in on your goal. Know the difference between that friend that took that 20-mile walk to hold that sign up for you and inspired you to make it to that finish line tape. Not the guy that wants to be there at the end, at the finale, when you got it, and he wants to be there to take the pictures with you. It's hard for many people to decipher that, but I encourage many people out there in the general public to do your best to know the difference between who these individuals are in your life, because sometimes we're blinded, we're gullible. We can be very gullible and susceptible to a person being a close confidant, and that person might not have your best interest. You gotta always have a close eye and a close watch on who's the friend that wants to be there with the finish line and who's the one who took the 20-mile walk to inspire you to finish that race. So.
No, that's big. That's you really do put things into perspective, and I love that. Again, thank you for coming out here, because everything that you're saying it has such wisdom within it that a lot of times people are, maybe they may just be blinded to it, like they don't catch it the way that you do, but the way that you're able to understand things and explain it, it touches me, and I know it's going to touch a bunch of people out there that are listening to this, especially when they go throughout this journey of just living here and just going throughout the grind. Like, you got to be cautious of who's around you and who's in your circle, because a lot of times the ones that you think are in your best interest are actually the ones slowing you down. And that goes back to what we were saying before, like, we're very powerful human beings. Like, everyone is a very powerful human being. So if your friends see the power within you, they will take you to that finish line, and those are the ones that matter. But if your friends don't see the power within you and don't see the power within themselves, then you need to separate. And again, that's why I just say, just be with yourself a little bit and think about where you want to go, and then think about if the people around you are going to get you there, or if they're just kind of like, dragging you down.
Absolutely. I agree.
And just have the right people around you, because the right people, like the conversations that you have are so crucial to the energy that's inside you. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we are as humans. We're full of energy. That's all we could give, is our time and our energy.
Yeah, you're an expression of the energy that you are. Everything that you do and how you present yourself as a physical being. And you're right. It's important that we all utilize that to the best of our abilities. Again, I'm a firm believer in just being a student through life is the key. Remember, people are always going to say, oh, I've been through it all. I've seen it all. I've done it all. Like, I hear you. But you still got a lot more shit to go through. Still got a lot more to learn. You always got to remain humble and be a student in life to understand that though you've been through a lot of shit and you've gone through a lot of shit, that still doesn't mean that life won't test you again. Life will present itself as a challenge in certain moments. And like you were saying, there's no cheating the test. You don't want to cheat the test, because if you cheat the test, you don't know the lesson. The lesson is what makes you pass the test. So if you don't have that element to yourself and you're not learning that with self-wisdom and growth as a human, you're a lost soul. And it's important to have those structures moralistically, so you're navigating yourself through this life properly. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are out there, just running wild and doing things and not consciously thinking. If you just think a little bit, like you said, kind of isolate yourself a little bit to yourself, give yourself time for a little self-development, whether that's a person who's going through like a distress moment in a relationship or even a job, they want to switch a job, give yourself time to evaluate your problems and your thoughts so you can gather yourself and then make a proper decision. If things are driven by emotions and being stressed out and seeing things in a negative perspective, you're never going to make the best decisions that way. You know that, and there's a lot of people that are doing that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like my brother told me, because there's, like what you mentioned, there was a time where I wasn't sure if I should just stay at the job I was or if I should leave. And he's like, look, what you and what everyone should do in a situation like this is don't just think about this thing and like what's going to happen or what can happen. You got to sit down and like write down the pros and write down the cons. And then it's going to hit you in your face. Like, you might have all these emotions around it, but when you write down the pros and the cons and you see what outweighs what, you're going to know where you should go. And that's big. Like, I'm also big on writing down goals. I don't know if you are too, but I feel like that's a big it's a big way to have clarity within yourself and within your mind. And again, you can't write down your goals, or at least I don't write down my goals without my boys around. You know,
Yeah.
I write down my goals when I'm in peace and silence, and I know where I want to get to. And I feel like that feeling within me to write down the goals and then see it in my handwriting is big in expressing what's about to happen the next day of my life. You know, like, this is a journey. This isn't just like anything could happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? I can meet somebody tomorrow, or a situation could happen that changes my life and my family's life forever.
Forever. Absolutely. That's just always something that, as long as you walk this realm conscious of that, you know, you're able to maneuver and be able to weed out and hurdle certain obstacles in your life, because you're conscious of the fact that, look, at any moment things can change. You always got to remain humble like that, you know. And again, like I always put emphasis on, never take nothing for granted. We got to be grateful and appreciative for everything that we have. You know, we're blessed, like even being in the city that we're in. You know, I mean, people get brutal weather, even during COVID. You know, a lot of people were shut down. You know, Miami was, you know, it's the reason why a lot of people came here after COVID, you know, because again, we were blessed, and that's just something that we never do we want to take for granted, and being appreciative of things. I'm a person where I laugh, because I tell a lot of people, I'm like, you know, being and living in Miami for so many years, and now seeing like so many people that I know who've come here from different countries, different states, and moved here, I laugh because I've even seen people move back and then move back to Miami. And I'm like, what happened? I thought you went back. And they're like, nah, I end up coming back. And I'm like, I thought you didn't like mine. And they're like, no, you know what? I love this place and I like it. So, you know, it's a blessing. It's a privilege to be here. And I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful the fact that, you know, I'm in a city right now that I feel's probably the most hottest place to be in the world right now. I have a biased
opinion on that, but I say it's the best city in the world, to be honest. I mean, I haven't been to every city, you know, but
I mean, listen, I mean, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. There's been a lot of places, every probably place in the world, and from what I've collectively heard back on feedback from everybody, there's no place like Miami. Miami's a one-of-a-kind type of place. So that's what makes this place so unique. It's what makes this place, like I was telling you earlier, the place that has all this amazing magic and potential, and the networks, and just the fact that we're networking and we're doing something like this together, right? It has that to it, that element to it. And it continues to grow. It's flourishing, and more people are coming here, taking that interest into Miami. So I see Miami, and I always seen this. I always had this vision, even from when I moved down here in 2002. I see Miami. It's like the New York and LA of the South. Like it's become that, you know. But with the tropical paradise and the beautiful weather, and a lot of other privileges that we have here, and things staying open very late that other cities don't have. But it's something where I'm glad that I'm here. I'm glad in this particular time that I'm here, because I know that there's still a lot more great things that are going to happen, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited that, you know, so many different entrepreneurs that's moved here in the last like 2-3 years after the COVID stuff. It's been crazy how many people now are here in Miami. So I definitely see Miami being this place that's going to explode.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it has everything that anyone would want, you know, when it comes to just a beautiful tropical city. Miami is the destination for everyone in America, and even outside of America. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've gone somewhere else, like out of state or out of the country, and I tell them, you know, I'm from Miami, or they ask, where are you from? I'm from Miami, and their reaction is always the same. Everyone knows, no matter where I am. It could be London, it could be Amsterdam, it could be the Bahamas. Like, everyone knows Miami, and they all love it, and they have great things to say, and I take pride in that, because that's my home. Like, that's where I grew up, born and raised. Like, shout out to my parents. Thank God for them. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. But we got to be grateful to be in this city, man. Like,
it's a blessing.
And like you said, it's all of the networks and the connections that we can make within this city. Like, I want to ask you, when you started, when you went from New Jersey back to Miami, and you were a barber at this new shop, what was it for you that took you from a new barber at this shop to networking and connecting with all these people from this hot city, Miami, and then driving you to becoming, the owner of your own shop and just following your own dream and passion to how a barbershop should look and be like?
Okay, so again, I worked in a few barbershops here in Miami when I came down from Jersey. So working at Cuts Barbershop, which is the one that I was telling you about earlier with Alonzo, that shop is that's really where the introduction of a lot of relationships had started there. Peter, shout out to Peter, because, again, he's an entrepreneur in this industry, and Peter's been a barber in Miami for many, many years, well known. He's cut a lot of big clientele as well, and Peter gave me the opportunity to work at Cuts Barbershop, and that's when I started coming across these real high-end clients that were coming in there, and one thing led to the next, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know this, and people do know it. It's again, it's not a secret, but I used to cut Lamar Odom. So Lamar Odom used to come get a baldy. Shout out to Lamar. It's been years since I seen him, but Lamar used to come and get a baldy, and he would do his beard. And Lamar would always send like all his buddies to me. So Lamar recommended Dwyane Wade to come cut his hair with me, and that's pretty much how that relationship started. And Dwyane came to the barbershop. I cut his hair, and when I cut his hair, another interesting story is when I cut his hair, he came back the next time. And when he came back the next time, I had just left on my lunch break. So, Peter had gave me a ring. He was like, "Hey Jay, are you far? This guy walked in, the guy who cut his hair with you last time, the kid from the Heat. You might want to come back and cut his hair and then go back on your lunch break."
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to sound cocky or confident or anything like that, but I was a firm believer in what I did. I was very good at it. And I told Peter, I said, if this guy liked the way I cut his hair, he'll wait for me to be done with my lunch break and I'll be back. And
I like that.
And sure enough, Peter was
that's
like,
confidence.
Sure enough, Peter was like, "Jay, I don't know. These guys usually don't have the patience." So I took after that phone call, I took about another 45 minutes till I arrived back at the barbershop. And sure enough, when I walked in, Dwyane was waiting for me. And he was in the waiting area reading a magazine. And then he sat back down in my chair, and he told me, he was like, "Man, I really like the way you cut my hair. I like the fact that you took your time on my haircut." And man, the rest is history from there. Anybody and everybody who knows me from many years of being in the city and I rock heavy with Dwyane, and Dwayne's been my guy for many years. A legend. I watched many, many, many great moments in Dwayne's careers and shared those moments, and even got to share his wedding, and I got a lot of love for his family. Everybody in his family, they're amazing. They've always treated me very good, and that's just pretty much the backstory. I'm sure that a lot of people would want to finally hear that I've never really put on camera. So, I'll share that insight because it's no secret. And the relationship with Dwyane and cutting Dwayne's hair opened up the door for so many more customers and clients and people that I got to cut, and traveling to go cut customers, and traveling to go cut Dwyane, and traveling for All-Star Weekend. It was a blessing. It opened up many, many doors for me, man. Like the one thing that I can tell anybody out there, and any young kid that's pursuing a passion or a dream, even in cutting hair, you have no idea where this can take you. People underestimate it. But if you have commitment, you have consistency, and you have love and passion in what you're doing, it's the inevitable that it's going to take you to the places that you can never think you can go. And I say that confidently because it happened to me. And I know if it happened to me, it can happen to other people out there. But the link that took place in that particular barbershop with Dwyane and all that, it just opened up so many other relationships. I got to know so many good people after that. I got to network with so many different individuals. And it opened up the door to so many other blessings that at some point, the network started to grow so big where I said, like, man, I think I might have to open a barbershop, because we only can stretch ourselves so far, right? You only can service so many people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's only so many hours in a day. And the network started to grow word of mouth, like, yo, look, this guy's really good, and I wish that I can service everybody. I wish that I can cut all the people that want to come in my chair. But there's been times where I just can't. I don't have the time, the space. The appointments are not available. So that's kind of what started driving me in the direction to say, look, I might have to open a barbershop, try to get a team of guys who can have skill sets. So at the time that I had been thinking that, coincidentally, I had stumbled across, a friend of mine that I had known from Jersey, and his brother, and the ones who were the owners of the chop shop that I told you about. And he told me to come look at the place. I did, and then, going back to that, what I had explained earlier, I ended up getting that place. I opened it up at Stellar Cuts, and it just became a blessing, man. I started with 2 barbers. Shout out to Mikey, and there was another barber called Roe there. Those 2 guys stayed from the chop shop. They worked with me there. And then Norman came on the team. Shout out to Norm, who ended up growing to be a big barber. Now he has a big clientele. And then from those 3 barbers, we grew to 11 barbers.
Wow.
Yeah. So
nice.
It ended up, the shop ended up becoming very good, very successful. I ended up practically accomplishing what I wanted to there, in the sense of getting that many barbers to work inside of there. And I had a vision. I stayed focused, and I was driven towards that task, that I wanted to complete that and say, look, for whatever it's worth, from when it's the day that we have to leave out of this place, I want to make sure that I have all these barber chairs filled, and I did it. So that only lets me know that, that's just one of many things that I've accomplished, and it's me scratching the surface. I'm bigger and better things that I want to do in my life. And it's been an amazing journey, man. I mean, again, just a little bit of a backstory that I wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What I got from that is, like you had said before, you need to be prepared for the moment, and then it'll just happen one day where you don't even know, like how one day just Dwyane Wade shows up and you cut his hair and you did it good, and now he comes back to you. All that didn't just happen because Dwyane Wade needed a haircut. Okay. That happened because of what you went through in Jersey, what you learned, what you went through when you were in middle school, all the haircuts that you did on yourself at first before you had the confidence to go and cut other people's hair. All of that was the reason, in my eyes, why Dwyane Wade happened to get his haircut with you, and then that right there opened up so many doors in your life.
Oh, of course, man.
So that goes again to just tell people, something doesn't happen overnight. He didn't just cut Dwyane Wade's hair and become big. Nah, he cut Dwyane Wade's hair so good because of all the shit that he went through in the past. And that's what's important.
Yeah, many things lead up to that.
And what I'll say, I guess Dwyane Wade is loyal to the heat and to his barber as well, because he stayed and waited those 45 minutes and just, was patient with you. And that's
absolutely,
that's that confidence that you have, because you know that you give quality haircuts. That's something where we talked about before, you can't doubt yourself.
No, of course not. No, you got to be confident in what you do. And I was blessed at a young age that when I was pursuing what I was pursuing and in my craft, I was confident at what I did. I knew I was good at it. And I can go into shops and I would put people on their heels real quick. I would put barbers right on their heels, because I would go in there and unfortunately, that's just the tension that kind of builds up at first when you go in and you're a real good barber. It can put intimidation on people, because they're in the same craft and the same profession, but they're like, wow, he's really good at this. And I never wanted to be this guy that wanted to intimidate anybody or come in and I'm better than you. I never had that mindset. My mindset was I'm good at what I do. I'm gonna keep just focusing on myself and making myself better. I wasn't worried about anybody else, but I did want to inspire other guys. So where I see that they may have lacked certain things, I would always come and try to help them and guide them and say, hey, listen, maybe you could do this way. And I tried to more or less be that kind of leader. So I probably, I can say, never working in any shop. Was there any animosity with any other? I always got along with my coworkers. We were always cool. We always, share stories and barber stories and stuff like that. So I was able to adapt to the work environment with people, because I never went in there with this cocky attitude, And sometimes people have that. That's not a good trait.
Yeah, no, it happens, but it's again, it goes back to just awareness. If there is animosity within the shop, there has to be a leader in the room that needs to be aware of that energy and bring everyone together and be look, if there's constant animosity in this shop, we're not going to bring in the clientele that we want and need.
Of course not.
So let's, like you did, let's help each other get better and like just lead by example and then be the best person that you could be. And that's what's going to bring in the clientele. Like that's what's going to bring in the quality. That's what matters.
I mean, you think Michael Jordan, want to ask you think Michael Jordan just played on championship teams because he was just the great Michael Jordan? Like, no, man.
No.
His greatness.
Yeah, I'm a big Jordan guy, so you can ask me
his
anything
greatness.
about Jordan.
I watched a lot of Michael Jordan. That's my era. And when I tell you, you see, people underestimate this, right? When somebody's great at what they do, but they're humble at what they do, it has this influence over people. But not in a negative way, in a good way. You raise the bar. And now the people around you are like, fuck, what he does, he takes very serious. Damn, I like that. I need to do better at what I'm doing. And it raised the bar around me higher. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be that type of influence, like a Jordan.
Exactly.
That I can get around a team of guys and never try to, walk around like, nah, I'm the best. I'm the baddest guy. Like, nah. I want to inspire the guys around me. And each of us, if we just get better and better and help one another, we're all going to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
So that was my way of like avoiding negativity and conflict and things like that can happen in a barbershop.
That's powerful. I love that you share that because the way that I see it is like a lot of times people say, and I'm sure you've heard this before, if you're the smartest or the best person in the room, you're in the wrong room. But like you understand that if you're in a barbershop and these are your employees, if you're the best, that doesn't mean that, go find another shop and more employees. Like, no, that means that if you're the best, get this guy next to you to be better than you.
Exactly.
Like, if he's better than you, and then that's the Michael Jordan like effect,
Exactly.
Like if you create leaders amongst people, then it's gonna drive you and drive them to be the best. And when everyone's just competing to be the best, that's where championship teams are made.
Absolutely.
And that's why I agree with what you said. It's like you could have put Jordan in any team. The way that he ran practice, and Kobe, I would say too, like shout out to Kobe, because the way that I've seen like just footage of them in practice, they have this mentality where they would like you're not allowed to just slack off in practice. Like
Correct.
We need to have this championship mentality all the time, even in practice, from game one to the end. Yeah, and that's what creates championship teams. Like,
listen,
it's not really about the skill. Everybody's skillful in the NBA. Everybody has skill. You're in the NBA because you have skill. What separates a skillful person and a champion is what you do with your skill and how hard you work and how often do you work on your weaknesses. Because you can have the best three in the game, but what's up with like your drive game? Are you gonna get better at that, or are you just gonna keep shooting threes? Because they're gonna adjust, bro. Like the NBA, if you got a good three, the defense is gonna pick that up. You gotta continue to be better every single day.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example, right? So this was something that I recall Jordan saying, and Jordan never took like how Kobe had that same, remember he's from the tree of Jordan, right? Well, they all stem from somebody. But Kobe, guys like Jordan, they played with such a deep love and passion for the game that it didn't matter who the opponent was that night. They could have been playing against the worst team in the NBA. He wasn't going to take you lightly. He was going to go out there and he was going to destroy you. And that was his mentality. That mentality led to his greatness. But even more so, this is what inspired a person like me, taking something from a great Michael Jordan. He once said that the reason why I do what I do and I always try to do it the best that I can, I don't know who's in this arena who saved all their money to come see me for the first time ever. And it might be the last time they ever see me. I want to show them how real this magic is. I want to show them how real this is in person. So with that being said, I recall years ago, when I would cut heads like young kids, it's particularly like teenage kids. I would cut their hair in the barbershop. I recall other barbers like, bro, why are you spending 45 minutes on that kid's head? Knock that haircut out in 20 minutes and get him out of the chair. Jay, what are you doing? Like, you don't need to give him a fresh, clean cut. You see?
But of course you do though. When he walks out of there, if you don't give him the fresh cut and somebody asks, yo, where'd you get your cut? It's not looking too good. They're gonna tell you exactly where they got it.
That's what I'm saying. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So that's why there's not many Michael Jordans. That's why there wasn't many of me in that atmosphere, because my mentality was different. My mentality was like, nah, man, I don't give a shit if this kid even tips me. I'm gonna give him the best fucking haircut he ever got in his life. And when he walks out of my chair, he's gonna feel like $1 million. That was my mentality. You know how many barbers I worked amongst? And I can say this blatantly to the barbershop community, any barbershop owners or barbers will relate to what I'm saying, is that I worked amongst many barbers who used to, nah, I don't wanna cut that guy's hair. He's cheap. He don't wanna pay. He don't tip. I get it. I understand where that mentality comes from. But that's a cancer in your own personal growth as a barber, in your own career. And the reason why is because you're underestimating the fact of multiple different elements that can happen with that one particular person. For instance, that person can be the gatekeeper to somebody much bigger. He can be the leadway to a bigger client that can come into your chair and pay you maybe 4 times the amount. So yeah, he might not be tipping you, but now that you got that referral, that guy compensates for himself and that guy times more. So you're only hurting your own personal growth by doing stuff like that. You have to be open-minded to say, this guy might not have it right now, but you know what he does have? He has this liking to the way I cut his hair. And even though he might not have the money to tip me or pay me good, he always comes back and he wants me to cut his hair. He thinks I'm good at what I do, and he loves the way I do it. You never know when that man's financial situation can change. I had a guy who I was cutting, a few guys who I used to cut, who used to pay me a certain amount, and then they got bigger salaries, and then they started paying me more money. So to the general public of the barber community out there, don't ever underestimate that. If your mentality is, I ain't cutting his hair because he don't want to pay, that's the wrong mentality to have, because you're now closing the possibility to other opportunities that can present themselves in your life, and other clients that can come in and pay you top dollar, which has happened to me. I've had a guy who can only afford to pay me a certain amount, but he led me to multiple clients that pay me good money and compensate me. So that's something where, you know, being in the industry that I've been for so many years, I want to share and shed light on that and put that out there broad to an audience of barbers and people in the hair industry. You cannot do that to yourself. You're going to hurt yourself in your own career. Do not undermine a person who can maybe not pay you the money, or you feel is maybe even cheaper, or whatever the case may be. That person can lead you to another person that's going to pay you a lot more money. So don't ever doubt that. You know, I just want to get that out there as a message, because that's something that throughout the years of my career, it's irritated me to work amongst barbers like that. I've been around multiple barbers. I don't want to cut his hair. I had a barber, I'm going to give you a funny story. I'm not going to say the athlete's name, okay? So I had a barber that was working for me. All my barbers in my shop will laugh because they know this story. I had a barber that was in my shop for me, who worked for me. And I had approached him, and he wasn't cutting nobody's hair. He claimed he had a client cutting. This client that walked in had braids. All he wanted was a shape-up. And when I walked up to the barber and I tell him, listen, this guy wants a lineup, he looked at me, he goes, I ain't giving him a lineup. That's only a $20 job.
Nah, that's crazy.
Okay, I'm not going to say who this guy was, but I convinced him to go and do the lineup. And the guy gave him $125. If that barber's out there, he knows this story's not fake. It's true. Paid him $125. He walked up to me right after and was apologetic, and I'm sorry, I apologize. And I said, you see, that's why you never underestimate nobody. Because just as simple as that, you're thinking that that's a 20, and you don't know who that is. You don't know who's being put in your chair. You can't underestimate that. So, again, if anybody's out there that's listening in the barber community, service industry, whether you're a nail tech, a hairstylist, makeup artist, if you maybe have a particular person that likes to get a service done from you and they don't have the money to pay you what you feel you deserve at the moment, don't just shut the door on a client like that. Give them a chance. because that person can be the gatekeeper to something much greater.
Yeah, that's how it is, man. Like, you just try not to judge. I just feel like everyone's going through stuff in their life, personal situations. Like, if somebody's not tipping, it may be for a reason, it may not be for a reason, but it's not up to you to figure out why, you know? Like, just do what you do it at your best, and it'll attract great things. And it could just be that the only thing you got out of that was maybe he didn't even express it to you, but he walked out of that shop and he looked at himself in the mirror when he went home, and he's like, yo, this barber like got me looking right, and that just flipped the switch, and now he's confident and now he's happy. Like, he might have not given you that tip, but you gave this guy like true happiness and confidence. That's worth more than money at the end of the day, and like that could come back to that barber anyways.
Of course.
And like, I'm sure you've like seen a lot of stories like that where people at first they don't want to do things and they just want to like be greedy or whatever, but then out of nowhere like they get blessed.
Correct.
And that's just that's a beautiful thing to see, because that might have changed, you know, the life and the way that barber sees things, you know. Maybe
change his whole viewpoint.
Maybe exactly. Yeah, maybe after that he never like he'd be happy to do a shape up on anybody, because now he just got blessed with this feeling of gratitude. And that's the beauty of life. Like, you just live and learn, and sometimes like you get blessed out of nowhere just to teach you things.
That's the gift.
That's why, like we talked about before, you can today is a blessing, and tomorrow could change your life. You never know.
That's the beautiful gift of life, right? You don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring, whether it's good or bad. We don't know what it brings, but it's the gift. And with that being said, seeing the mindset of people who, again, close the doors on their own opportunities, right? And going back to what I told you earlier, where if the mind is blind to the possibility, the eyes is going to miss up the opportunity. It's gonna bypass it.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah.
And people don't understand that. That's something that you have to have self-growth and work on. Because if you have that, you're going to grow and flourish in ways that other people can't. You see, again, going back to the early discussion about instant gratifications. You know, what do you think? A guy walks in a barbershop, he sees this barber driving a badass car, got a nice chain, got money, lives in a dope spot. He wants that money right away. But then he's in that shop and he maybe cut one guy, two guys, and he's frustrated. This place is slow. I'm not building clientele. And what ends up happening, he doesn't go through the due process that it takes. He doesn't have it in him to grind it out, to keep harvesting his seed, keep watering his seed, right? And some guys don't have the patience for that. So what ends up happening is they replace themselves and they go to another place. And then again, they don't have instant, and then they find themselves in a revolving cycle. They can't get it right because they can't stabilize themselves to understand that to grow yourself into a big clientele is going to take time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And a lot of barbers that I've worked amongst and guys that I've seen, a lot of them don't have the patience. They want the instant money. I want the clientele. I want to make the money now. Where are they at? Oh, look, I want to cut hair like how he's cutting hair. He's cutting 15, 20 inches. I want to do 15, 20. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. You got to pay your dues. And when you pay your dues, then you get that. You know, it's like the rookies that come in any sport. They see the vets driving the beautiful Bentleys and they want that. But what the fuck you think? They just got landed on their lap? They had to earn that shit. You know, when you were saying earlier about how you write goals down, right? I'll give you another unique analogy, right? Everybody loves the Hail Mary pass. It's beautiful. It looks nice. The quarterback drops back. Deep pass all the way down. Touchdown. He reached the goal. And he did it so beautiful, so easy, so nice. But let me ask you this. How many Hail Mary passes are thrown? How many long, deep passes are really thrown in football, right? There's a selective few, and there's only a few quarterbacks who can do it, who can reach the goal that easy. But the ones who can't, it's a game of inches. It takes inches to get there. Life is a game of inches. You understand? So to get to where you want to get to, you got to understand. It ain't a Hail Mary pass to get to the fucking goal. You got to go through the gridiron. You got to go through the rough shit. And it's a game of inches. And there's going to be setbacks, like penalties. You're going backwards. when you're still trying to get forward. So if you can understand that and apply that to your everyday life, you understand that, things got to take their time. They got to take their course. Yeah, we all want things. We all want to reach certain goals in our lives. We want to see ourselves at a particular age with certain things, but we can't be discouraged or hold ourselves so high to this accountability, like, it didn't happen. Like, if it didn't happen, maybe, like you said earlier, life had to alter you in a different direction. Maybe that just wasn't in your destiny. You feel me? So maneuvering ourselves in this journey, we got to understand that. We can't get overwhelmed or allow things to consume us in that aspect, because a lot of people do,
I like what you said about how life is a game of inches and everyone loves a Hail Mary, but what I instantly thought of is, because that made so much sense to me, I'm like, if you don't play the game of inches, you're going to find yourself looking for the Hail Mary. But if you think about it, what's a Hail Mary? It's a pass of desperation.
Correct.
So if you don't struggle within the inches, but you want this huge, beautiful goal or car, like you said, like, go ahead and try to throw that Hail Mary, but that Hail Mary, you're going to get, like, bro, once out of who knows what the chances are.
Exactly.
So don't go for that Hail Mary desperation. Like, there's inches, like, there's small inches that need to be fought through, because it's not even like just slow process. It's a slow, painful process. Like, imagine getting smacked every single down, like, to earn that little inch. Like,
the slow pennies, to me, a slow penny is better than a fast nickel. Why? Because a slow penny it's again the game of inches. It's gonna eventually get you there. The fast nickel that you want, that's only coming around so often. So like you said, the Hail Mary pass, a desperation. How many chances can you really get a Hail Mary pass off? So the person who wants a fast nickel, who wants to make, all this money so fast, that's why they don't have anything. Because they want all this, everything in abundance, but don't understand the due process of what it takes to get there and then sustain it.
That's big. And to everyone just listening out there, like, especially just, I would say the kids like in high school they have aspirations to be a barber in Miami, and we all know it's competitive, so you have to try to be the best if you want to be a barber in Miami, or anyone in just high school, wanting to do anything, or just kids. Like, I'm sure you have kids, and what would you tell them? Like, because I feel that success is something that everyone wants, but a lot of times, and from what the conversation that we've had, a lot of times people don't realize that success is first built within. Like you said, the mind has to be ready for it. So what would you tell, like, just kids out there listening? How do you prepare yourself for success? How do you get into that mental state? Because again, I like to emphasize, we live in a world, especially today, with a lot of distractions.
Of course. Obviously, one of the rooted fundamentals of success is going to be discipline. All right? Discipline is one of the main attributes that it's going to take to have to become successful in whatever it is that you're pursuing. But I can't sit here and give you all the recipes for success, but I can tell you one for failure, and that's trying to please everybody. If I can tell anybody out there, you can't become this discontent individual because you feel that you're not pleasing people. You're not going to please everybody. Life doesn't work like that. You understand? Some people are just not going to be happy. And that's okay. You got to be okay with that. Right? Why? Because it's to understand that everybody just has their own perspective and their own viewpoints. Everybody's not wired the same. The more you have that understanding, the more that you're going to find yourself in an easier path to success. Because it's like, you know what? I got to just keep focusing on me being great, not focusing on the fact that Bobby over here didn't like this. Because if I let the way he was affected and didn't like this, and I ponder upon that thought, then I'm going to miss on the opportunity that's in front of me. See what I'm saying? Here I go, revolving, not evolving and going forward. Mm-hmm. So those are some attributes to me that if somebody's really in quest for success in their lives, you got to apply those things. Obviously, you have to be driven. You have to have determination. That's another attribute that it's going to require you to be successful in this world. But you have to understand in the journey of your success, it's important that your observation of things around you is very vivid to the point where you know you're not going to allow anything to take you or distract you from going to where you want to get to. If you can understand that, you're not going to miss up on certain possibilities of things coming in your life, because many people lose opportunities for certain things. And I see it all the time. I see people missing out on opportunities because they're consumed by something else. And they're not allowing themselves to really seize the moments that they have. So to me, if you want to be successful, you have to be driven towards that. You have to have a drive and aiming towards something that you're not going to allow anything around you to distract you. It could be, the temptations of a certain lifestyle, right? People want to live a certain lifestyle. People want to go out. They want to party. The people who have vices with drugs, consumptions of alcohol, whatever it is. If you're allowing these things to get the best of you, it's just going to hinder you into where you want to get to. So as long as you have a clear viewpoint of that, to any young kid that's out there, you're more on a clear path to success. If you're going to allow these certain elements to pull you in different directions, that's going to take you right off track. So, that's just probably some of the keys to success,
Yeah, no, that's good. I would to just piggyback off of what you said. I feel like you got to choose what's hard, not what's easy, because a lot of times, like, the celebration, I would say, comes after the difficult tasks that you put in front of yourself, because you can choose to avoid all the difficult tasks and then go party instead. But if you're searching for true happiness, I feel like true happiness is within the struggle. Because if you constantly go out and party and you rely on the alcohol and the drugs and the nightlife to get that happiness within you, you're going into a vicious cycle where you're going to stop doing what's hard, because you truly don't find pleasure in what's hard and you find fake happiness in what's easy. So what I think people should really focus on is going down the hard road. And if you don't want to wake up in the morning and get a workout done the first thing in the morning, if you don't want to, then try to do that. Try to do that, because after that workout, or just read for 30 minutes and try doing this. Like something as simple as you wake up in the morning, act as if you're still asleep. So don't go on Instagram, don't go on your emails, don't respond to text messages. To the world, you're still asleep. But walk out of your bedroom and go read 30 pages or 30 minutes, right?
Exactly.
Or work out,
anything.
Go
Work out,
run
do
for
a
30
prayer,
minutes.
do something.
Do something hard, because if you continuously go down this path of I'm just gonna do what's easy, I'm just gonna do what's easy, then something that isn't really that hard feels like it's the hardest thing in the world. And you're already setting yourself up for failure, because if something that's not so hard feels like it's the hardest thing in the world, you're just simply not going to go down that hard road that is necessary to learn all of the building blocks of success. So you're going to stay in this comfort zone and comfortability kills. I'm sure you could like attest to that. Like you're going to stay in this zone of I'm chilling and everything's easy over here. And it might feel nice at the moment, but you're not going to grow as an individual, and it won't take you anywhere.
Absolutely not. I mean, look, I agree 100%. We all have to be challenged, man. What is your story gonna look like the day when you old, and you're talking to your grandkids, like, you don't want to have a boring story of life, man. Life has to have its challenges. Life has to have its adversity in there. It has to have its rough moments, because at the end,
it's a beautiful story.
It's gonna be a beautiful story, and it's gonna be one that you can look and reflect back on and say, damn, I made it to where I'm at now, and I went through all that. And that's the beauty of it. And to me, I kind of look at all of our journeys, right, is that we have to embrace every experience that we're going through, whether it's good or it's bad. You have to embrace it. You can't look at so many situations like, why did that have to happen to me? Why did this? You can't look at it like that in the moment. You have to understand that that's going to shape shift you for later on. You're not going to see that at the moment. It's not meant to be that way. Life works ironic. God works in a mysterious way. And it's not meant to be seen in that particular moment. That's not what it's meant for. You were given that, and then later on, here will come the answers. And when the answers come and they present themselves in your life, you're going to look back and be like, I'm kind of glad that happened.
Yeah.
Damn. How did I need that to happen to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, here I am thinking that this was the worst thing that could have possibly happened to me in my life. And in reality, it was a gift in disguise. It was something that was actually good for me.
Yeah.
So how many times have you went through things like that in your life?
It's necessary, man. I'm telling you, I experienced that last year, for example. Like, something happened to me that I completely wasn't expecting and didn't plan for at all. And I questioned, like, why? Like, for example, I had just moved into my spot, right? And when I moved in, this was mid-December. So then around January, I'm still settling in. I'm getting my furniture. I'm buying all this because I had to buy everything. I was living with my parents before. So after buying everything and spending all that money and finally feeling settled in February, and like now I'm ready to take over. Like, I'm settled in. I love the view. I love the place. I love the energy. Like, everything's going amazing. Bro, I get fired. So I'm like, wait, hold up. This was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Like, and that's where you got to, like you said, you need to not question too much and not freak out and panic, but just understand that God has a plan for you, and He did. The reason why I got fired was because if I didn't get fired, and this goes back to what I tell people, if it wasn't your fault, it wasn't your destiny.
Correct.
Everyone, all my coworkers knew that I shouldn't have got fired. And it was very aware within the restaurant. So it made me question it even more. But then I thought about it and I'm like, no, this makes perfect sense, because I'm not the type to get fired. And if it wasn't for me getting fired, I would have never left that place because I was extremely comfortable.
You would have been content. Yeah, you would have been comfortable.
And I'm someone that I preach this stuff, and it happens to me. It happens to the best of us. I was comfortable in that job. I knew I didn't like it. I knew I wasn't going to be there for long. And that's the shit. Like, I knew it, right? I felt it. But I had no plans and no intentions on quitting at the time. And then that shit got taken from me for no reason. Like, so that's where I'm just like you said, this happened for a reason.
It all has its purpose. And if that door didn't close for you, the one that's ready to open for you.
And the one that opened for me was the biggest blessing that I didn't even imagine. That's the thing, because I was so content. My
point is that, again, in the midst of that moment, your confusion, they're kind of like, damn, what happened? Like, why did I get fired? So in that confusion, in the midst of that, you're not seeing that this is a blessing in disguise. That's what I'm telling you. This is where, again, in the midst of the moment, we're so consumed by all the emotions and everything that's overwhelming your thoughts that you obviously you don't have the mind clarity at that moment. It's going to take some time to pass to look back and say, man, how ironic was that? Damn, now that I look back on that, I kind of needed that to happen because that opened the door for something much bigger in my life. It
forces things to shift in different ways.
So we have to. We all go through this, bro.
It's adaptability.
It's the blessing and the curse. That's how I see it. Like here we think a situation is bad, and in reality, here comes this blessing that we're like, damn, you know what? That was a good thing for me. And that can go in multiple perspectives of our lives, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a prior job, a prior experience that you've been through, or something that happened. You have to grab that and learn from it. If you're not learning from it, you're not growing. You're not growing. And I always feel that if we were meant to stay in the same place, we would have roots instead of feet.
Damn, I like that one. I've never heard that one.
So
yeah, that's nice. Damn, I really like that one.
When you look at it in the grand scheme of things, brother, it all makes sense at the end. Like you said, this had to happen, because if it didn't happen to you, then here doesn't come this drive and this passion to pursue something else that maybe you've been putting off for a while now because, like you said, you were content.
Exactly what
you were happy. You were making this money. It's kind of like, nah, this is my gig. I'm comfortable here. I'm already used to this, and you needed to be pushed out of that comfortability to say, nah, you know what? There's a lot more in store for you, and now it's time for you to go on this path. So, again, to the broad audience that watches your podcast and the people that we're going to be able to touch with these messages, hopefully people can learn from experiences or what you just explained in your journey, that don't get too caught up in why. Why did I get fired? That you're wrapping your mind up in the wrong things. You see, the why I got fired, try to maybe put more thought into saying, damn, did I get fired because something much better is coming?
Yeah.
Is there something else that's going to land on my lap? Maybe it was time to go from this. Maybe this was almost like God doing me a justice here. He got me out before a bigger problem was going to occur.
Yep.
Think about that, right? Despite the fact if anything doesn't come right at the moment after that, look at it as in maybe you were being prevented from something much worse happening. You know, anything. It could be a jealousy. It could be somebody just trying to say something or cause a problem, or say you stole something. We underestimate the fact that we could be preventing something that could have not went right for us.
Yeah.
And then embrace what's going to open up and come after that. And that's the great gift in life, man. You know, it's a blessing that a lot of people struggle to see. And hopefully in this platform that you have here and the stories and the messages that we're putting out, you know, people can learn from this. It can be like a survival guide for them.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to make this be, just a place where everybody in Miami can come together and tell their story and talk about what they've learned throughout life, because I only have one life and I'm only learning through my one life and my one experience with multiple people that are coming in and out of my life constantly. But if I'm able to get the community together and share their stories about what other individuals are learning from and who they're talking to and who they're learning from and what they're doing and how they're moving, I feel like we're going to be able to just help each other out in any way that we possibly could.
Absolutely.
And what do you think is the future for, I guess, 2023 within this year of the new shop at Stellar Cuts?
Man, well, I'm glad to announce that we just got a dope braider. You know, first time that we have a braid. Well, in this shop, we had one in our old shop. She would work part-time, but in this shop, this is the first person that we brought on board to do braiding. She's real good. She's talented. Her name is Jenna. And I'm just excited to, you know, to continue to build a good team around me and you know, be able to hire, you know, barbers who want to come in with the mindset to understand that again, the growth process, right? Like it isn't instant gratification. Look at the long-term goal. And anybody that comes on board, if they see that, they can buy into the vision. In my first shop, I was fortunate. I was fortunate to have, you know, two particular individuals that seen the vision, and they wrote it out with me. And I'm fortunate enough to say that those two are here in this other shop with me.
Yeah.
Some didn't come, and that's okay. Life is like a train ride. Some people are going to get off, some people are going to get on, and then get off again. That's the journey, right? So for the ones who weren't still on board and the ones who are no longer on board, there's no hard feelings. You understand? There's a reason why people don't make it to your future. You understand? Some people are meant to stay in your past. And for what it's worth, I'm fortunate that I have the two particular barbers that stayed with me, that they understand the vision and understood the grind of what that vision that I've had laid out for myself has been, and they wrote it out with me, and they're here riding it out with me in this shop. And you know, I got a good team of guys. Shout out to all my guys: Mikey, Norman, Flash, Albert, and Jenna. You know, and also we have the Juice Bar Brad, and then we have Elevation, which is a marketing company that we have within our establishment. They rent one of the offices out of there. So the vision is big, man. The vision is it's just, again, it's me scratching the surface. There's a lot of things that I want to implement, even more so, God willing, when things are more settled at this new location, I can start implementing a program that's teaching kids how to cut hair. That's one of my callings. Is something that I desire to do. You know, I want to be able to give back. There's a famous quote that I live by. It's a quote by Paul Newman, and it makes a lot of sense, man. He said, in life, you have to be a little like the farmer who puts back into the earth what he takes out. We take a lot out of life. There's a lot that life has given us, but there has to be this give back that we have to give. It's the system.
Yeah.
It's what makes things go in a system for us.
Yeah, like the more you're willing to give, the more you're going to get, because universe, God, whatever you believe in, knows that if I give this person this much, he's going to give back to all these other people.
Correct.
As opposed to if you're not big on giving back, then you're not going to receive too much because you don't have much to give.
And that's just that's something that, you know, I want to do and journey in this next year, hopefully by the end of this year, I can start getting that emotion with that program. And again, man, just, you know, provide a upper echelon service to guys, and Stellar Cuts is a place where, you know, again, like you said earlier, it has that man cave vibe. It has the vibe where, you know, you kind of just want to lounge there and chill there. And we get all types of people and customers that come to my barbershop, and after haircuts, they're there for 2 hours, 3 hours, just hanging out, eating or talking or having a juice or having a drink or playing pool, you know, like that's just kind of the environment that we want to create there. And it's a social network environment as well. There's a lot of big people that come there, a lot of, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs in the city that come to my shop, and it's a great networking hub as well. That's typically what a barbershop is. It's the hub of the community.
Yeah.
It's the networking source. So to me, I'm fortunate and I'm blessed that I've been able to provide a place that many people can say, like, you know, it ain't like what we were saying earlier about getting a picture, but it's more like, damn, I sat next to this guy while he was getting a haircut. You know, you share that experience, and it may not be one time. It may be a second or third or fourth time you come in there, and he's happened to be in there again. You know, so that's really what I want to bring to this industry. And again, my barbershop's on a second level. I'm not on a ground level, and part of that is because I'm on a different level. You know, I'm trying to go up, not down.
Yeah, nice.
You know, so
I like that. I like what you say about experiences. That's big, because it brought me to a flashback that when I think about it, the flashback is more vivid and more clear than any picture I could even see. And it was when I first saw LeBron in public. And it's a funny story because it was when he first announced that he was going to be joining, you know, the Miami Heat in South Beach. And then I was with my brother and my dad. We were at Dayland Mall just uniform shopping. And I had seen like a big crowd in front of Champs. Like, I thought it was a fight. So there's a lot of commotion. I'm thinking like something's going down. So I take a couple steps like to see what's up. And as I'm walking towards it, like everyone's starting to look at me. So I'm like, damn, like what's going on? Like, and then out of nowhere I get cut off. And I get cut off by someone like abnormally tall. Like, I'm just like, I felt a presence in front of me, so I just stopped and I kept looking at the crowd because they were looking at me. And with the corner of my eye, like I felt like a huge presence. And then everyone starts walking my way, so I'm like, yo, what? And then I turn around and I see LeBron is the one that just cut me off.
Wow.
And he was just with his kids just getting some ice cream at Haagen-Dazs. And I didn't take a picture, I didn't even take out my phone, but again, like I don't have a picture, I don't have a video, but that experience, it's extremely vivid.
That's more valuable.
That's what's important, yeah.
To me, that's more valuable, you know. And again, not to knock anybody who wants to take pictures or photos, because, like we said earlier, from a different perspective, right? Maybe a picture can mean something to a person.
Oh, pictures mean a lot. It's just it's the mentality of it. Like,
exactly.
Nothing against pictures, bro. Like, I'm big on, if possible, if the opportunity's there, like, yeah, it's always nice to have a picture with someone you look up to, but it's the mentality of it. Like, when you are experiencing a concert or experiencing something cool in life, like getting a haircut next to like somebody that you just watched ball out on TV yesterday.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
that's a privilege.
Your first thought should be thank you.
Exactly.
Your first thought should be like, wow, like amazing. Like,
I'm privileged to be in this experience.
Then pull out the phone. Like, then later, but feel that though. Like, that's what matters.
Yep.
But we're coming up on time, but I think that's the best way to just wrap it up. Like how you said, you're going to learn with everything that you've learned in life and the skills that you've obtained. Now you're giving it back to the community. So if any young barbers are out there or experienced barbers, I want to learn more from a legend in the game, like, and this isn't just like a new legend in the game. Like, he's been around, he's seen it all, and he's one of the most skilled and wise barbers out here. So
appreciate that.
If you want to just let them know like where they could find you, where Stellar Cuts and also
you guys
like,
can check
IG
us out
page.
on Stellar Cuts, Stellar _Cuts. Sorry, that's our Instagram page. Then we also have stellarcutsmiami.com. That's our website, and you know, we're located right by Buena Vista in Little Haiti. It's 310 Northwest 54th Street. That's zip code 33127. We're about 5 minutes away from Wynwood. And again, you can always call us up, book an appointment, or you can walk right in, either or. You know, and again, I'm blessed and I'm privileged to be on your show and have this platform to even be able to put this information out there and you know, have a moment to share with the people. You know, I want to thank the Miami Hustle, you know, because you always got to be on your hustle. And remember, hustling is just is not a guy that sells drugs. Some people have this image of hustlers being drug dealers.
You know what's funny is you beat me, bro. You beat me to it. So like what I'm gonna do, and I've been telling this to everybody, is I'm gonna have before I start dropping full episodes, the first thing I'm gonna say, because I understand that, I know people's mentality sometimes is, oh, the hustle, you know, selling drugs. But like I'm gonna make sure to clearly emphasize, I'm gonna sit on my desk and I'm gonna make a little video and I'm gonna say, before I show you guys like what I've been working on, just so you know, I need to let it be known that I don't condone hustling as in selling drugs, because selling drugs is easy.
But that's not what the name is.
Anybody could sell drugs. That's
Exactly.
not what I'm about. Hustling is something that is within you. It's your passion. You're hustling for what you believe in. You're hustling for what you want to be. You're hustling for what you are aspiring to be. Like, to me, following your passion is the hustle, because everybody needs a 9-to-5, or if not a 9-to-5, a part-time to pay the bills. Everybody needs that. But everybody has a passion. It's hard to do both. So at first, you need to focus on what's paying the bills, and that's where the hustle comes in. The hustle comes in when you're clocked out. Like, when you're paying your bills and you're doing your shit at your 9-to-5, that whatever job you have, that's cool. But as soon as you clock out, all the time that goes dedicated into your passion is what I consider the hustle.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you for just inspiring everybody out here, and we're gonna have you again. Looking forward to just continuing the hustle and the grind, and then continuing to just make connections out here and inspire the world, not just the city.
Speaking of hustle, shout out to my boy Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle.
Yeah, Charlie Hustle. You know, it's a legend in the rap industry, good friend of mine, and you know, just another legend, man, another inspirational person that I know, a good friend of mine. So, you know, speaking of hustle, like I said earlier, hustling just doesn't mean that you're a drug dealer. Hustling is a guy that's willing to hustle for the things that he wants in life. You know, and it's like the guy that's winning the race. Hey, you got to hustle. You know, you want to get to the finish line, you got to hustle. So the perception of what people think is a hustler, sometimes that can be seen in a negative viewpoint. And I'm glad that you shed light on that. It's not about that. And I support the movement and, you know, everything that you're here trying to promote in the platform, man. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to the next interview.
Yeah, bro. Until next time. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that, for real.
Absolutely.